Turbo pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll with planet. Flight outside of speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
And good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening for wherever you are. We're at Starship testing again, would you believe? It's never a dull day in Boca Chica. We've got SN7, the test tank, out on the NID launch pad, I should say, being tested right now. We can see it's all nice and venty, and that should get quite frosty as we go. I think we can actually start seeing it frosting up as we go right now. So we're not too far away from the main part of the test, which will be a big pressure test. I think they're going to look to basically pressurize this as far as they can take it. So this will be an interesting test, and I would expect to pop, and don't be too upset if it does, because that is the point of testing. So we're there. We're getting a great view from Mary, and we're going to say good morning to Mary if you can hear her. Hello, Mary.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Mary's providing this great view here. We can see a lot of venting coming from that dual valve at the top now. We can see they're going to do some extra testing with this test tank and see how far they can take it. We've also got Michael in the back room if you want to say hello, Michael.
How's it going? Hopefully another good test today. And if you pay very close attention, you might notice something different about this stream compared to our previous Boca Chica live streams. So if you have good eyes, let us know in the chat what is different about this stream compared to our previous streams that we've done, because I'm looking right now and it appears that it is working.
Certainly look very good to me as well. And we can actually just see, I'm taking some observations because we're seeing this live with all of you now from Mary's view. We can see the hydraulic rams on the test mount there, which will be where SN5 we're expecting will be rolling out after this test. This is the thing, you see, we were expecting SN5 to be at the pad by now. We were really expecting some rollouts, hopefully to allow them to go towards that 150-meter hop with a lot of static fire testing and what have you to come from it first. But that mount is still empty. We're waiting for this SN7 test to happen. The reason why SN7 is happening now is because it's testing that 304L, which is the new kind of stainless steel rings they're using, and the new welding techniques and robotic welding and all that. So they really are trying to get some good data for future Starships. The interesting thing is SN5 and SN6 are both 301L, which will be a different kind of steel. But as long as they get some hops out of them, that'll be a good test for them. They want to see how they can land, the control, things like that. It's a Raptor testing as well as so many things. And then SN7's data will hopefully feed into the future Starships, which will be the ones which will be launching to big heights and obviously going to orbital at some point. So we're looking forward to that. The interesting thing I want to ask Mary is, how are SN5 and SN6 doing? They must be quite bored by now.
They seem to be enjoying their stay in the high bay.
And we also, the amazing thing is, Mary did I'll link it in a minute. Mary did a drive past video showing the area of Boca Chica, which I personally love, because people have not been to Boca Chica. You can't really get an idea of where things are. There's a funny story is I've edited some of Mary's videos before, and I've got them out of sequence because I didn't realize where some places start. So when Jack did the edit, I was thinking, why is he starting there? And then, of course, that's when he goes past the areas, and you see what are now two large areas where crane activity is happening. This is what really, really gets me excited, because we've got next door to this launch pad, launch site, landing pad. SpaceX do things differently with a landing rocket, so we have to call it a launch pad, but it technically is a landing pad as well. We've got the super heavy facility. Now they're building what looks like to be the launch mount and the facility that'll hold the super heavy, which is going to be a crazy rocket for you all to see. You won't believe the height of that rocket compared to what we've seen with the Starships. And they're building the foundations for that now with a massive, massive pole of rebar that went down last night. If you saw Mary's video, which if you haven't, you should have by now, because if you're not a real Starship fan. And we've got cranes also at the production area. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're talking about SN5 and SN6 in the high bay. That high bay is a very tall building. When we were building it, we're thinking, right, there's two layers, there's two height, three levels. They're building a fourth level. How tall is this building? That is nothing compared to the next building they're going to do in the area, which is the high bay for Super Heavy. So it's all Super Heavy related. And I asked Elon about that, any more buildings going to be built in the production area, and he goes high bay for Super Heavy. And that's where that big blue crane you see on the video is for. That is one of the biggest cranes we've seen in Boca Chica to date, I think. Is that, Mary, you know your cranes. Is that the biggest crane that's been in Boca Chica so far?
Absolutely. It is huge.
Yeah, because that's the thing with so many cranes in Boca Chica. We've had the Big Yellow. I remember we used to call it Big Yellow. That was the crane that we're technically seen now at the Super Heavy area with the rebars. But that's nothing compared to this big blue crane, this Malkovich, or whatever it's called. We've actually tagged it. Jack's tagged the actual details of the crane on the video. So we do know what it is. So there we go. That's great time for Michael with his inserts at record speeds while I'm talking. It's a I can't even pronounce that. It's a Makovich or whatever it is. Model 18,000 crawler crane. It's a crawler crane. So that just goes to show this thing can really be impressive moving around on its crawlers while it's building this massive high bay for what will be Super Heavy. Because of course, the current high bay, which is for starships, they can't even take a full Starship stack. It's literally just the actual tankage part, and they put the nose cone on separately at the launch pad, we think, because it won't fit a full stack Starship inside there. That's how tall the Starships are. So you can imagine how tall a Super Heavy stack is. It'd be we wouldn't even fit any of the tankage in there. You'd fit probably half of it in there. So they needed that new high bay, and that's what they're going to construct over the coming weeks. I was going to say coming months, but knowing SpaceX, they'll probably have up in a few weeks. So, especially Boca Chica, the pace they've got. Just checking in with SN7. How's the frosting looking, Mary? Am I seeing frosting on that tank now?
I do believe so.
Yeah,
Yep.
it does look like it's on the. It's like it's not.
Yep.
You can follow the line of the frosting line, which is basically on one side. On the left-hand side, it's higher up, and then it just basically the bottom part looks frosted up as well. It does look like it's venting away quite strongly. So I wonder how far. We're normally about an hour into the test window, aren't we, Michael, where it starts getting quite interesting.
Yeah, and it's going. Last time it took several hours for them to get it fully filled up. So we'll probably expect to see that again today. Meanwhile, Mikkel asks, good job. You correctly spotted that we are now streaming at 60 FPS instead of 30 FPS. So hopefully, if a pressure test is a failure this afternoon, we will get some nice, smooth footage of that pop that Jack, our editor, can work on and play back in slow motion for our video, our highlight video of this test.
Thanks to Future Martian, who literally every single stream put some money into it for $10. Seriously, mate, you want to spread the word, let other people chip in, because I tell you one thing, that is amazing support as always. I'm just going to link in chat now, if I can, because I'm on a laptop, which is in a closet, which you would not believe, in Leeds right now. I'm trying to do several things on one screen here, and I'm used to two screens. So I'm going to put this video link into chat now to tell you about the drive past video, which explains what I meant by all these cranes, especially the cranes at the Super Heavy launch site. Also in the big, massive blue crane, which is at the production site. That's for the VAB. So we have two big amounts of crane action going on. Super Heavy launch pad, which they're building, and also at the production area, which is going to be building. It's staged there, ready to build what will be the VAB for Super Heavy. So that is the interesting thing. It's not just these tests that are going on. It's not just SN7 we're seeing at the pad right now. It's all areas of the actual Boca Chica area. And someone in chat's asking where about in Leeds. I'm in Wellington Road, Leeds, if you want to pop in for a Taylor. Also, we're now 47 minutes into this test window. We believe they started on time. So we're about 15 minutes away from when the sporty end of this test. It can go on for several hours afterwards, as Michael has said. So don't expect anything too dramatic within this first hour. After that, we'll have to keep an eye on it. And I would point out to people who are maybe new to these tests, they do test a failure on purpose a lot of the time. Not every time. Sometimes they go wrong by mistake, but that's all helping with test data. But with this one, we do think there's no future for SN7. It's obviously not going to be part of a future Starship. So it wouldn't be bad at all if they do push it, get the right amount of data. They want a certain amount of bar they're looking for, which is the flight pressure bar. Hopefully get to that. Say, great test. Now let's push it. Let's push it as far as it'll go, push the breaking and see how far we can take it. The thing I like to point out is this has already popped during its previous test. It was a little hole. Some people on Twitter were saying a man-sized hole. It really wasn't, because we saw the pictures. It just looked that dramatic because the amount of pressure coming through it. They've patched that hole, which is like a small hole at the top of the tank, and redoing the test now. So I think this will also test repair techniques in case they have a Starship that has a small leak. They can repair it. So this has been another interesting thing about it as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
Quickly, a few more super chats we got that I don't want to make sure that we miss. Rated a sci-fi fan, thank you. I'm not sure what currency that is, but we appreciate the support. Jason S, 5 Canadian dollars. Way less heat distortion. Looks amazing. Don't jinx it yet. I have a feeling it's only 8:49 a.m. Central Time. It is going to heat up a bit more over the coming hours, but hopefully it won't be too horrible today. We'll see what happens with that. But again, there's not too much we can do with the heat distortion. That's just the laws of physics making it difficult for the camera to see through all of that hot air. But we're doing our best.
To be fair, on my screen, it looks really good. It looks like even looks a lot better than last time as well. So it does look a lot better. I wonder if 60 FPS is helping that as well, because it just does look a lot cleaner. And you can clearly make out where the frosting is now. It really is quite obvious when you look at the tank. Just some questions about the 2-vent system, and I might not be able to answer this because I'm not entirely sure. Evan White asked, does the new 2-vent system help them control the pressure changes at a more manageable and potentially higher rate than just a single vent would? More control of the test overall. I think that's a fair assumption. We don't know. The clever thing to say is, when you don't know, you say you don't know, because it is a lot of guesswork and educated guesswork with these tests. I think it must be obvious they've changed it from that single vent to 2-vent system to get more control and be able to do increased amount of testing with it and get some data out of it, because all these little appendages you see are all instrumented. It's all been instrumented, so they're getting all this data back on their systems and getting everything they need for test objectives, and also being able to use that lessons learned into future Starships. Everything you see, this is an important thing to point out, everything you see where it goes wrong with Starships is not a terrible thing. It looks dramatic. The mainstream media love it because it's something going bang, and people love a bang, don't they? So you get that kind of reaction from the general public. But of course, most people in this live feed will know that testing is an important part of building new spaceships, and you've got to test a failure. SLS is doing that. They did a tweet just yesterday saying they're going to pop this LOX tank. That's again on purpose. That's to see how far they can take it. New Glenn, when that first comes out, the structural test article, they're going onto a test stand that's actually built in mind of popping a New Glenn. They want to basically take it to a structural failure point, and they find out how far they can take these rockets. And then when they do launch them, they can bring it back to a factor. Usually it's 1.4 factor for a human spaceflight, a 1.4 factor, to allow it to basically have that 40% of margin, which increases safety overall. Because if it does go over its 100%, they know they've still got another 40% to go before they're going to start worrying about structural integrity. So that's why they do these tests. I'm just trying to think of a question for Mary, because Mary's there. She's there every day, and literally every day, all day. And I'll tell you one thing, I know a lot of you would appreciate her, because I see it in the comment sections on her videos, and I know a lot of you really do appreciate her. But just put thanks, Mary, into chat, and I just want to see how many we get, because I think it just needs emphasizing how many hours she puts in to documenting. I was going to say filming, but it's not. It's documenting this test program, which is just going to be looked back in years and years to come. I tell you what, there's a question for you, Mary. Do you kind of appreciate the fact that what you're filming now is not just live? It's not just the latest video. It's something that people in years and years and years and years will look back on when these starships, which we're watching being tested, are landing on Mars. Does that ever sink in for you?
It does now. When I first started, it really didn't. I really didn't realize the significance of what I was doing.
Yeah, that's definitely, because I think that's starting to sink in a little bit more with me now. I think when it first started, it was more of a like, is SpaceX having a little pet project here? Is it basically just trying to have a little diversion and see what they can do? Because we were all brought into following SpaceX as Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, Falcon 9 landing, Falcon Heavy landing, Falcon Heavy to the moon, Falcon Heavy, Red Dragon. Remember Red Dragon, everybody? Red Dragon was nothing to do with Starship. So that was SpaceX thinking about Mars. And then he announced this interplanetary system, interplanetary transport system. See, I can't even say it, so that's why they changed the name, I reckon. That was called ITS. And then, of course, Elon did his Elon thing and called it BFR. Well, we all know what the F stands for, even though the media were trying to get around it by saying Big Falcon Rocket. And I think Gwen Shotwell made a few references to be called Big Falcon Rocket. But Elon's already said what it actually means. And then they've changed it again. So it's now Starship and Super Heavy. I think the entire system will be called Starship. I think Super Heavy will be more of a tier down to call what the booster is when they're doing the booster testing. But the entire system will be called Starship. And this vehicle really has the best chance of landing humans on Mars. Not just the moon. We're thinking about Mars because Mars is always the long-term plan that NASA never really gets to. I've seen recent NASA documentation which shows the plan for Mars missions with SLS. And it is a Block 2 SLS, which is not even on the cards yet. We're looking at Block 1 SLS, Block 1B. And then Block 2 will come in the 2030s. And then the human landings for NASA astronauts on SLS and Orion on Mars is 2036. We're in 2020 now. Can you imagine any program that's got 16 years of life in it? That's potentially several presidents' time. So the plans will keep changing because every president brings in his own plan. So NASA's in that horrendous loop of trying to get a program going, a long-term program with political changes going on all the time. So it's just really hard for them to do. The thing with Starship is it's commercial. It's Elon Musk. Elon Musk doesn't change. He's always in charge of the company. So you have that longevity. You have always got that familiarity with what the plan is. You've always got that consistency of plan. And that's not just the reusable system where it's cheaper, not just the fact that it's hardware that's going to be working with Raptor showing it's now progressing quite well in McGregor. It's not just the fact that they're building a launch site and they've got everything now on view being tested. It's the fact that SpaceX has a plan. SpaceX is owned by Elon and he wants to go to Mars himself. So that's the motivation. There's no political involvement. The thing that'll help them is if NASA gets involved and throws some money at them because they know that they can get them to the moon faster. So that's where it starts getting more embedded into NASA. But that's the exciting thing. I think I went on for about 5 minutes telling you about Mars missions. But it's a long-term plan. And when you think about it, and when you see Mary video come up on your notifications, and you see these videos of SN5 and SN6 in the high bay, and you see these tests on the launch site, and you see these little still rings being carted around on forklifts, which is always hilarious to me. When you see these United rental cranes running around like spiders around these test vehicles, we're going to look back potentially in 5 to 10 years' time at missions on Mars, and we'll look back on these videos and go, this is where it all started. That's where it gets really exciting to me.
A question from Les Dean. Do we know if there are any SpaceXers in the new control center? I think you're referring to the one right at the launch pad that Mary spotted. Let me know in chat. I don't think, because Mary saw in the latest video there was a sign that said future home of the control center, right?
Correct. Yeah, future home of the, what was it, Launch Control Center?
Yeah, that was at the pad, right? Where was
Right.
that? I don't understand that because it seems weird that they would have that at the pad
Well,
because
see,
they.
that's right. That's what I thought too. So I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. They obviously cannot have their teams at pad during a launch. So I'm
Yeah,
a
it's
bit confused
too
about
close.
that.
Way
Yeah,
too.
Steph. Yeah, and Leslie confirmed in chat that's what they were asking about. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that.
Yeah, and I didn't notice it there when they were having their cookout and
Mm-hmm.
lunch under Starhopper, but maybe it was there and I didn't notice it. But yeah, I was a little confused when I saw it.
We've got some observations in chat, which is I've also seen as well. There is ice falling off the aft of this test vehicle right now, so it is quite frosty. There's ice literally just falling off it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple of times where it's happened, but it's not. And the other thing is there's birds flying by. Well, you got to watch out for the birds because they look like there's ice coming off the tank. It's not. They're birds. But yeah, it's venting quite heavily now. Was it? Can you hear anything, Mary? Is it audible to you?
No, I don't hear it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised really because it isn't a big test vehicle like a Starship SN7 or anything like that. It is just a little tiny test tank. So I can't imagine it'd be more like a kettle sounds within like 100 yards of it. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
neat.
sorry, Mary,
It's
go
neat
on.
to hear when you're closer to it. You know, it definitely can hear, and it does sound like a steaming kettle.
Oh, that'd make me thirsty. We won't do any tea jokes in chat. No. Yeah. So other questions we've got here. Michael, have you seen some questions come up? Because I'm trying to juggle with one window here. So if you see any
Yeah.
questions come up that are any good, please take them.
Yeah, if you have a question for us, tag at NASASpaceflight in chat so that it highlights it and it makes it easier for us to find them. Marcus is asking, SpaceX will need a lot of stuff besides Starship to get to Mars and back or even stay there. Do we know anything about if SpaceX is developing this stuff at the moment? I'm assuming you're talking about like crew life support systems and stuff like that. Well, they do have a life support system currently flying crew on Crew Dragon, their low Earth orbit spacecraft. So I'm sure that they will be able to roll over some of the lessons learned from that vehicle into Starship. And that would probably be a help, but I'm guessing at this moment in time, SpaceX is mostly focused on getting the Starship vehicle itself flying with a payload capacity large enough to be able to support a large amount of people going to Mars, and then they will start working on more rolling the life support systems into design further along the road once they are ready or getting closer to being ready to actually fly those crew life support systems. I think their priority right now is just getting the production system ramped up, just to build the general Starship vehicles. Not any specific configurations, but I'm sure there are some people at SpaceX working on designing life support systems for Starship at this time. I just don't think it's their primary focus right now, if that makes sense.
And I think something to watch out for is SpaceX do a lot of things internally. They always have. They like to keep things in house, and they do a very good job of it. But if I see a press release where they're bringing Paragon involved in it, they are the world's best experts at long duration EELS, which is life support system. That if they bring those guys in, even as consultants or if a small team or anything like that, then we know things are getting really serious with life support for these long duration missions because they are the experts at it. So that's the thing I'm going to look out for. But as Michael said, that's a way off. They're not going to be flying crew on these starships for a while yet. I know there's been lots of claims that, it'll be next year and things like that. I think they've got to get several uncrewed tests of this vehicle in the bag before I even think about putting humans on it. So it's a long way off.
A question about what pressure they're trying to obtain during this test. Well, 8.5 bar is what Elon tweeted was the factor of safety needed for crewed space flights. And since Starship wants to be a crewed vehicle, it will have to be able to sustain 8.5 bar during flights. So previous tests of SN7 reached 7.6 bar before it had a small hole they've since fixed. So presumably, they're hoping for an improvement over 7.6 bar. Anything above 8.5 bar would be good enough for crude spaceflight, but I'm not sure if they expect to be able to get that high with this prototype. Elon did mention there are some weaknesses with this prototype that they are fixing for the next test tank that they're going to be pressure testing. They also did make some minor improvements, I think, Mary, to SN7 after it failed the first time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. So presumably SN7 will hopefully get a bit above 7.6 bar during the second time testing. And Michael Gardini is asking, do we have a Boston Dynamic dog update? Have you seen the dog yet, Mary?
No, I really want to.
I know as soon as Mary sees the dog, there'll be a message to me saying, "Seen the dog?" Everyone will be rushing back. Everyone will be rushing home, making sure they can get the video turned around really fast. Because that'd be amazing to see. Because Mary was the first to get the doghouse picture of Zeus. And we all thought, oh, it's a real dog, a real guard dog, literally a live dog, which they did a like cute little doghouse for it. Then we thought maybe they're going to use it like some kind of trial little pretend house for starlings, which is one idea. But then we heard they got these robotic dogs. And you know what? The funny thing is, it makes sense because when they do have things go wrong at the pad, I don't want to want to have a closer look at things. You can't send you've got a pad closed. You can't send people to the pad when it's literally pressurized up. It's just not. It's like no go. You're not allowed to do it. But they can send out a robotic dog to have a look, so that makes sense. And it's just, I'm sure there was probably some cheaper version where you could just roll out some little mini truck thing on the remote control. But no, SpaceX thought let's have a robotic dog. So as soon as that turns up, Mary, I think Mary will be on the lookout for it. So that'll be great to see.
I look every day.
Yeah. I wonder what kind of treats would entice a robotic dog. But yeah, and we're also. Can you see, Mary, if the bottom of the tank is now? It looks like there's definitely some condensation coming off the bottom of the tank. Can you see from where you are?
Not with just my eyes. I would have to use binoculars.
Oh no, sorry. Well, we're looking through your eyes virtually with the actual great close-up we've got on this camera view, which we can now see. I'm just looking through my screen's at fault here. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more condensation, if not venting, coming off the aft of the tank now, not just the top of the tank. Yeah, definitely. So I think we're now into the business end of this test, which can go on for a long time. So don't be glued to the screen expecting anything to go pop just yet. In fact, we'd like it to pop late as possible because that will mean, before Elon confirms it, hopefully on Twitter, that they got a really high pressure reading from this. So that'll be the hopeful conclusion to this test, where they've got past what they're looking for with the test objective of the bar they're looking for. Let's say we get 10 bar out of it. That'll be a brilliant result. So if it goes pop, but they get 10 bar out of it, that will be called a successful test. So that'll be the thing to keep in mind as we go forward. Let's just see if we have any more questions because I am doing this.
We have a bunch of super chats.
Oh, we do, don't we? Yeah.
Molly Space Industries, $2. Do robotic dogs dream of electric squirrels? Maybe we'll have to get married an electric squirrel to drive out there. Tough as spike nails. Thank you for the $10. We appreciate the support. Analyst Joe Schmo, $5. Thanks for the live feed. And Les Jean, welcome to Pad Rat.
Yeah, great support, everyone. Appreciate it because it is. Again, this is me being honest here. When I thought let's do a YouTube channel and let's do live streaming, it just seems so simple when other people do it. You think it's just so simple, then you find out there's all this equipment involved. There's all this bandwidth involved. I thought you could literally just basically webcast for free. That's what I thought. Honestly, when I've been watching webcasts from people, I thought, oh, they're just basically pointing the camera at thing and just feeding it through YouTube. Oh, no. You need all this bandwidth. So it all comes in really much appreciated when people do support the channel, because it is, it really is. It's an eye opener. Anyone who's thinking about starting their own channel and doing things like this, do some research. That's what I'd say. Or get a Daz, because Daz is brilliant. He's real. Without Daz, we'd have been lost. We wouldn't have been able to get anywhere. And of course,
Chris,
we've got
my
Michael
ears are burning
producing as
over
well.
here, man. Are you
Oh,
talking
hello.
about me?
Hey, look at this. You can't mention his name. If you mention Daz or Bluebirds, he turns up. It's like magic. And I think that means I can go back to work and earn my day job, so I can actually put some food on the table.
Oh, y'all doing okay? Anything to report? I just got back to the studio here and hopped online to join you.
No,
You ditching me?
it looks. Oh, actually, as I was speaking now, it just got quite bench at the top, but it's really has been quite frosty so far, but nothing dramatic. So you've
Yeah,
come at
gotcha.
just the right time. I'm sure as soon as I come offline, it'll start to get really interesting. But I'll be still watching on my phone.
We'll ping you, we'll at you if anything interesting happens.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, I'm going to sign off now because I've got to go back to work, because I don't do this as a job. I do my other job. So I should wish you, and good luck, Mary. Thank you again for the great stream.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good
And
day.
I shall be keeping an eye on from a virtual position. Goodbye, everyone.
All right, take it easy, Chris. Oh, and Michael, you still here?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, I just sort of busted in there, but I heard him
Yeah.
talking about live streaming, so I figured I'd turn on my microphone and start talking.
Wayne Johnson, thank you for $10. I think we should name the dog Astro, a reference to the Jetsons. That would be good.
Make the Jetsons noise.
Ron Smith, $2. SpaceX should make Boca brew pub with extra tanks. That'd be a good use of the tank farm. And again, if you have any questions, just tag at NASASpaceflight in chat. Luke Lake Space, how much do you think SN7 is lighter than the other test tanks with this new steel and technique? I think you're trying to say. I'm not sure if there's a significant weight difference between the steel they're using before and the steel they're using now. I'm not a stainless steel expert, but perhaps, I don't know. Sorry, that was a really uninformative answer, but I'm not going to try to make stuff up that I don't know.
Yeah. Michael, I'm still getting a little set up here,
yeah.
so
I'll keep going through questions.
Yeah,
Will
cool.
SN8 be a test tank or a normal prototype? I think based on what Elon said, the next prototype, which would be SN8, we expect to be another test tank with some small improvements over SN7.
So what have we seen so far this morning? I just sat down here to see the video, and it's clearly frosted up, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like the frost line continues to rise too. It's almost about maybe 2/3 of the way up already. So
Yeah.
that's quite promising. The previous test we saw, I think it was last week, it took about maybe 5 hours before it was fully frosted up. They didn't even have to abort and then send a pad team back out, fix the problem, but we haven't seen any of that this morning. They were basically testing by the time Mary got out there, so they started right on time. And it looks like this test, if all goes well, if all continues to go well, might not be quite as long as the previous one. I mean, we'll expect if you missed the previous test, what we expect to happen is the frost line will go up almost all the way to the top of the top bulkhead, and then they will stop venting the tank and let it continue to pressurize basically until it fails. So that will be what we expect to see today. Again, they are going to make it sail on purpose so they know what the capabilities are of this improved welding and steel that they are using for this new prototype test tank. So
Right.
if we see it pop and lots of gas and liquid nitrogen is being spewed everywhere, that is not necessarily a bad thing. Depending on what pressure it reached, it could be a very good thing. because it could be that the prototype did better than expected. We don't know. So we'll have to wait and see what Elon tweets after the test to confirm if it met expectations or not. But a failure in the test tank is certainly not a bad thing.
Right. And this is the one that already sprung a leak in the previous test, right? This is the one that had a little leak that came out of the top, but it wasn't a big bada boom sort of thing. It was just a rupture, I guess, in the top, and it started depressurizing that way.
And Elon tweeted that mode of failure was much preferred over a full pop, which we've seen before.
Yeah.
But if you look closely on your screen, you will see they have a bunch of ropes attached to the vehicle, so they are holding it down, and that should prevent, hopefully, that bulkhead or parts of the vehicle from flying high into the air. We have seen on some of the previous pops with like Mark 1, for example, where the bulkhead flew probably a couple 100 feet into the air. So we don't expect that today. If it does pop, we'll just see maybe a slight change of what the vehicle looks like, should we say, and then a bunch of that liquid nitrogen pouring out.
Yeah, it'd be more of a rapid depressurization than a flaming explosion, right?
Yeah,
like go ahead.
I was going to say they're using nitrogen because it's inert and it's not going to cause a large SN4 style ball of fire or rapid unscheduled disassembly of the entire vehicle. It's just going to be a small, probably rupture of that tank.
Yeah, it could be a rapid, sort of expected depressurization as opposed to a rapid, unplanned disassembly.
Exactly.
Totally different.
Couple more super chats. Mike G, thank you for the membership. Mark Weeman says, treats for robotic dogs. A bit of this and a bite of that. Yeah, dogs we talked about earlier. We need to get Mary some kind of device to lure that Boston Dynamics dog out so she can get some video.
I think the term you're looking for is hack that Boston Dynamics dog so that we can control it, put our own camera on it, and see what we want to see on the live stream.
Yeah. What if we're not actually going to do this, to be clear, but what if we got our own dog and just told it to walk out there? I think that might get us into some amount of trouble, so I don't think we're going to do that, but it would be, I think it might get around the drone laws, at least. It might be trespassing on SpaceX property, but drones of the aerial kind are also not allowed. So if you ever go to Boca Chica, do not fly any drones by the launch pad.
See, we need to just make it look like an actual animal. Like we could actually put some fake fur on it or something, and then it could just look like a Yodi out there checking out what's going on, but its eyes are cameras. I'm just kidding, Elon. I'm not actually going to do that.
Yeah, to be clear, we are joking. We
are joking, yes.
We do not endorse trying to get any closer than the road closures with any kind of robots or drones or whatnot, because again, at least aerial drones are specifically against the law, and if you try flying them out there, you will be having a word with the local sheriff. Brendan Mullins. You all know the best place to view this test in person. Came down to South Padre to check it out, and I'm not sure where to go. Mary, where is the best place to view that the general public can access?
I would probably say South Padre Island at the Isla Blanca Park.
Yeah, they specifically built an amphitheater there to view the launches, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, I might not know based on SN7's size how visible it is, but they do farther a couple miles, I think, up the road from Mary is. They do have a soft checkpoint, so only the locals can get to where Mary is. So if you're wondering if you can get as close as Mary is right now, the reason is no. The only reason Mary gets this close is because she's a local. So South Padre Island at that park that Mary was talking about is probably your best bet.
Yeah, Mary, if you're up at South Padre Island, like on that side of the pass, can you see this stuff from ground level? Like if you're at ground level in a parking lot or something, can you see it, or do you have to be up on a building to see it? Do you know?
You know, I've never really taken the time to look.
Yeah, she's like, Das, I live in Boca Chica. Why would I go to South Padre Island?
Yeah, and you know, don't rarely leave Boca Chica.
Yeah.
I mean, I rarely leave Boca Chica, but I know from the causeway when you're looking across, you can see it. But I don't know once you get on the island, you know, on ground level.
Yeah, whether there's dunes or something in the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you probably in places you can for sure.
Gotcha.
I'm just with that.
Yeah, gotcha.
I know I've definitely seen pictures of the full starships taken from there. I'm not sure based on SN7 being a lot smaller, like Mary was
Right,
saying, how visible it is. It
right,
is
and it's
also, yeah.
yeah, it's on the opposite side too, you know, of the viewing from South Padre Island. Like it's on the, you know, behind the tank farm almost.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. So what are we? We're now about an hour and 20 minutes into the test window today. Hour 19.
Yep.
correct, yeah.
Okay. And the roads are
Another-
all closed. We're not seeing cars going by or anything. So
Nope.
they've cleared out that area, right?
Nope.
Correct.
And that frost line continues to go up.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got super chats. Go ahead.
Yeah. Super chat from David from Video Spotlights. Apparently, the 99 cents is an Apple iOS thing. I guess you're talking. There might be does Apple take a cut of super chats? I'm guessing that's what you're saying. Yeah,
Like you can do
Apple.
it from a device.
Yeah, probably. Apple and Google on their own app stores are quite greedy. I think they both take about. I know for like general in-app purchases, this has been the news a lot lately. Apple takes something ridiculous, like 30%. I'm not sure if that applies to super chats. I was actually under the impression that that kind of payment might be viewed as an external thing, but I'm not sure. I could, if you want me to, I could rant about how Apple and Google take how their policies towards in-app purchases work, but I don't think that's on topic for this stream.
Oh. So how's the 60 FPS been working out? That's a interesting question for chat. I think y'all mentioned it earlier, right? But right before the stream, I was reconfiguring the live view solo broadcast unit, and we got the camera reconfigured, and then we reconfigured the YouTube stuff so that we could do 60 FPS. So now we should be pushing 1080p at a full 60 FPS.
I don't want to jinx it, but I haven't seen a single hiccup this entire stream so far.
Good.
Looks like it's holding strong. Oh wow, Michael Clary,
Wow.
$50 super sticker. We appreciate that a lot. That's super helpful with all the expensive modems and data plans that these tests require. So again, thank you for the support.
Yeah, we appreciate you there, Michael. And it's some sort of like animated pear-shaped character riding a firework, I guess. Oh, we appreciate the support there. And dude, there was another one, Crazy Dave 911. Glad to see you, Dave. Glad to see you as well. Thank you for the support. Thanks for hanging out with us here today. Hey, am I crazy, or is that tower right in the middle? Is that a new tower that's been erected, or is this just a different angle that I don't recognize?
Mary, is that new?
I think they moved it. I think
Okay.
it used to be more at the left side of the tank farm, and now
Yeah.
they've moved it beyond. Maybe I think it must be near the landing pad.
Yeah, gotcha. I just because that's the old. I mean, I say the old test stand. What it's like 2 weeks ago, but that's the test stand where we got the last pop on the left-hand side of the screen, right? It's just the structure and scaffolding now.
It's been rebuilt.
Yeah. Wait, is the flare stack in the shot right now, or
Yes, it is.
what's the status of that? Did they move it too?
Well, they reinstalled it yesterday.
Yeah.
They had taken it out, and yesterday, there it was.
They put it back in, huh?
Yeah, I think in a slightly different spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. Is it off to the right of the camera right now? Like, is it behind that mesquite that's waving on the right-hand side, or?
It's
My context is so different because the tank is there now. The SN7 is there.
The
I do believe
SN7.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not.
I believe from what I understand, SN7 was the new test stand for SN7 is where the flare stack used to be, so they had to move the flare stack to a different location.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just
I'm
trying to
thinking.
sort of squinting at it.
Right.
I'm not seeing a flare stack in this view unless it's
No.
that smaller tower to the left of the larger tower. Kind of
Yeah, I see like an
to the
antenna.
left of that light. Yeah, there's something,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look tall enough unless it's like down a hill or something.
There's like the big antenna, the tower dead center in the screen that looks like it actually has a wind indicator on
Yeah.
top or something. And then the thing that actually looks like the antenna from the Apollo CSM, but it's actually 4 lights, the 4 circles. And then that other stack to the left of that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
just
no.
going to. I don't think that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'll
going
have
to
to.
verify. I'm checking our previous video because if that's the flare stack, it wouldn't have been there before.
Yeah, gotcha. Because Mary, you've got video, like the last video we did had the flare stack in it, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just looking with my binoculars. Yeah, and I'm having a hard time spotting it.
Picking out where it
So,
is.
yeah, and but it's still kind of hazy. So
It's out there somewhere.
Yeah, that smaller pole to the left of the lights is not the flare stack. I confirm that.
no,
Gotcha.
no, it's not.
Hey, Owen Sparks, welcome to Padrat. Appreciate the support. And then Derek Johnson coming through there. It's a question with some Australia bucks in there. What did Mary do before SpaceX turned up in Boca Chica? Have you always been into photography and rockets? You get this a lot, don't you, Mary?
Yeah, yeah, and no, I had no interest in SpaceX but well, I always had a camera. I mean, I've
Sure.
always had one just for, family pictures, whatever, vacation. But no, not a photographer, not a SpaceX fan. Wasn't until they moved here and started building, and especially Star Hopper, seeing that
Oh,
really
yeah.
piqued my interest. Yeah, loved it. Still
Cool.
love it. Love
Okay.
seeing all the different things they do.
Yep.
Oh, Joss, do you see the flare stack? Because chat just told me where it is. Now I feel
Yeah.
stupid.
Okay.
It is right in front of SN7. We've been looking at it the entire time.
Oh, it's the stick on the right-hand side of SN7
Yeah,
in that
that's it.
panel.
That's it.
It's actually lined up with one of the supports, isn't it? The only reason you can
Yeah.
really see it is because it sticks up into the frosty area.
Exactly.
Duh. I mean, it's like right there. It's a snake. It would have bit us. I mean, not really, because it's a live stream and I'm in North Carolina, but whatever. My dad used to say that.
The entire chat is just tagging us and telling us that. We're sorry. We didn't notice somehow.
We're driving engagement is what we're doing. You say something that chat can answer, and then you act like you don't know the answer, and then all of a sudden everybody starts to chat.
It was as like the teachers in school say.
Yeah.
When they screw up and then act like they knew the answer all along. We were just testing you.
It was a test. We wanted to see if you knew. I mean, I know, but I wanted to see if y'all knew. Hey, Daniel Poole, welcome to Capcom there as well. Thank you very much for the support there too. Yeah, and Michael, you're pushing those on the screen, aren't you?
Yep.
All right, I've been picking them up, and I've got the interface up here where I see it, but I'm just calling them out as I see them there.
Yeah, if you want to use the interface, go for it.
All right, good deal.
2 people can't use it at once, so.
Look, we're pressure testing the chat until failure. We're just pushing the chat until it fails. We do that with the stream sometimes. We didn't know if the 60 FPS was going to work or not, but it did get working here, so.
And speaking of 60 FPS, I think, Mary, once we get towards the excitement for today, you're going to try to record on this camera locally at 60 FPS. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Is it venting more? Did it just start venting more all of a sudden?
I'm not seeing too much of a change.
Okay. I looked away, then I looked up,
Yeah.
and I don't know if the wind picked up or what, but
Yeah.
you know how it is.
Yeah, normally we do not record in 60 frames per second locally because the internet connection in Boca Chica can be quite spotty. So we want to make sure we can get up the videos in a timely fashion. But what Mary can do now is that she can record on the camera she's streaming with at 1080p and at 60 FPS. And on her other camera, she can record at 30 FPS. So we have both versions. And hopefully, if the internet connection is good enough, we will have that 1080p 60 FPS video for Jack by our editor to have some fun with and do some nice slow motion clips of that failure. So we should, if all goes well, have better quality both on the stream and in our final highlight video of this test.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, either way, regardless of what the modems of the internet do, recording locally at 60 FPS, we should be able to get that and upload it later, right?
Yeah, it just might take a little bit longer, but we should be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So this was one of the things we're sort of stepping into it. Remember when we first started doing these live streams, it was like 720/30. And then we get comfortable with it and we moved to 720/60, which is FPS, right? The frames per second.
Yeah.
Because when you double the frames, you actually increase the bandwidth. It doesn't straight double the bandwidth required because the frames don't change that much in between. But it is more bandwidth to run 30 or 60 FPS instead of 30. And so then we're like, okay, we want these big, pretty shots. We don't want 720. What is this? Like, what year is it? 720p, really? So we moved it up to 1080, and we did 1080/30. And then the last test, we were like, oh, it's 30 FPS. We could have got double the frames if we were doing 60 FPS when we had the pop, right? So not the last test, but a couple tests ago. And so now we've pushed this all the way up to 1080/60. And the trick is a lot of people are always going to ask me like, oh, Das, well, why don't you go to 4K? When you're on mobile data like this, sometimes a 1080 signal will actually look better than a 4K signal because it can compress it better. If you're trying to like overrun your bandwidth and you're trying to push a 4K video signal, but you don't have enough signal for it, because of the pixelization and the compression, that can end up looking worse than a nice, clean 1080 signal. That's why sometimes we went all the way down to 720. Like if I'm doing a tour of a launch pad or tower and we're walking around and there's a lot of motion or something like that, we'll go down to 720/60 because the motion is more important for us there as opposed to a static shot that has a lot of detail. And then here, this is a nice static shot, so we kick it up to 1080, but it takes a lot of bandwidth to try 4K, and a lot of people don't quite do it right, so it ends up pixelated and not looking right.
And anyways, YouTube does not support 4K at ultra low latency. So if we notice sometimes when you're watching our stream and NASA is also streaming, our stream is like 20 or 30 seconds ahead of NASA. That's because our stream is super low latency, which is cool because it allows you to experience a lot time with us. We can interact with people in chat right after they respond or tell us something. But when you introduce more latency, there's more of a lag. And 4K on YouTube requires you to have more of a lag because YouTube needs more time to process the signal.
I really like the low latency. Like the
I do
video
too.
that we're looking at right now it's less than 10 seconds. I haven't calculated it today, but it's less than 10 seconds from live. It's probably somewhere like 6 to 7 seconds from Mary sees something happen, and then wherever you are in the world, this video signal makes it to you. So
2 terrible toads, thank you for the $5. Now you are recognized historian, Mary.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I was listening in the car. Remember, we got everything set up, and I was out at a thing this morning, and so I turned on the stream in the car, and I was sort of listening podcast mode. Which, by the way, Michael, I don't know if you saw it, but these conversations sort of work really well as a podcast too. Like just listening to Chris B talk about stuff. That was cool just to listen. I was in the car, so I had it on Bluetooth. I wasn't looking at the video at all, but I was just listening to Chris B talk while we were driving back home, and it was interesting even without the video, which is cool. Just listening to y'all talk about what was going on. Of course, if something happened, I would want to be like, oh, I want to see. So anyways.
I guess the strategy, if you're at work right now, is to put some headphones on and maybe listen to the stream in the background. And then when you hear someone start yelling, you can just quickly try to take a quick glance at what's happening.
Ah, yes.
Another super chat. Doss, you're gonna like this one. From Rough Rider Show. Hey Doss, is your studio running on Mac OS?
No, I actually work for a living. I don't use any Mac OS or iOS products myself. I'm all PC based here. So just for way too long, I was a computer programmer, and I never was a video or photography or multimedia person or anything like that. And I've just always been on PC. Look at this nerd, Jared. Oh my gosh. Jared, you're not allowed to give us $20 and say 1080p 60 FTW for the win. We appreciate you, though. Thank you for that. Ah, yes. So,
now the chat is giving us a Mac versus PC debate.
of course they are. That's another thing where you can just toss in a MS DOS. Yes, my studio is actually based on MS DOS. Didn't. But again, y'all, if you're just joining us, we're standing by. That's SN7 out there. It's that test tank. Not particularly a full-on Starship prototype, right? It's testing that new type of stainless steel 304L, right, Michael?
Yes, 304L.
Yeah,
That's
304L is the new type of stainless steel that they're testing, and this is its second test. It made it successfully through an earlier test. It had a slight leak that popped out of the top, but they came back and they fixed that leak. They repaired the leak, and they're testing it out again. We do think that this is most likely going to be a test of failure. So we don't expect to see a flaming explosion. This is just nitrogen today. And what we could see is a big leak, a lot of venting, a lot of condensed clouds as it pulls that humidity out of the atmosphere down there at the beach in Texas. But if we see a pop, it may be spectacular. But we don't expect it to be on fire because it's nitrogen in there, a nice inert gas to test with.
Moldy Space Industries, $5 for DOS being a man of culture and not giving it to Apple.
Nice, Moldy Space.
And
I don't know.
The quality of. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The quality of life with Roz. Thank you, and welcome to the Padrat.
It's the what was the big news yesterday? Like, I didn't even know this. People were like, oh, I can finally customize the home screen on iOS, and I'm like, wait, you haven't been able to do that? Huh?
Before were just basically several pages of app icons, and you could like move them around or put them into the folders, but there was no app drawer like on Android, so every app had to be on your home screen. The people just had pages and pages and pages of their home screen. But now iOS has an app drawer like Android.
See, I didn't even know that.
And you can also put your widgets onto your home screen like on Android.
Gotcha. Oh, hey, let me have a look at this real quick. I'm gonna bounce something on the uplink, so I'm not gonna talk for just a second here.
So in that case, I will answer some questions.
Thank you.
How thin is the SN7? Are they gonna make the whole Starship even lighter? I believe it's 3 or 4 millimeters. Somebody in chat. Oh yeah, 3 millimeters. I think is the width of the 304L stainless steel they're using. I don't know if they'll be able to get lighter than that. I assume there's going to be a lot of forces going through this vehicle when they're launching. There's also going to be a large payload on top in some cases. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do better than, or somebody in chat saying 3.94 millimeters. Yeah, it's between 3 and 4 millimeters, I think. But yes, it's already pretty light. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to push that any further, but the reason they test the failure like they're doing today is to find out the capabilities of their design. If it turns out they have more margin in the design than they thought, they may be able to make some changes to lighten the load, whether that be with, welds or the type of steel they're using or whatnot. So we'll see what happens with the additional testing they're going to be getting done with SN7 and SN8, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to get much better than this.
Gotcha.
Looking for more questions. Again, if you have a question, tag us in chat and we'll do our best to answer.
And I'll just say this out loud. Mary, could you have a look at the two Hawks real quick for me? I'm not
Okay.
getting any bandwidth from either of those Hawks right now. So we're still at full tilt on the Verizons, but the two Hawks are not behaving. I've already tried to jiggle the handle.
Well, they're both blinking blue.
Okay.
So
All right.
um,
I'm gonna see if there's anything else I can do here, but they're not behaving for us right now. Ah, the Karen feeding of modems.
This is why you have lots of modem redundancy when you're live streaming.
Yeah.
We are 2 modems down, but the picture quality still looks as good as it should do because we have 2 modems still online.
Yep.
If you were streaming with 1 modem, we would be in big trouble right now.
Yeah, that's when it starts to hiccup. You get all the pixelization because here everybody knows, you're on 4G or something like that, and you're trying to watch a video or something. Every now and then it hiccups, right? Especially when you're not in a fixed location, you're sort of out in the world somewhere. But what the broadcast unit does is it combines the signals from 4 different modems, and if one modem has a hiccup, the other modems sort of take over for it. And so right now, that's what I was noticing, that we had gone down to 2 modems instead of 4. But I'm going to keep looking at it here. And Mary, I might ask you to reboot the Wi-Fi Hawk or something just to see if that makes a difference. In fact, if you could, if you have that within arm's reach, just go ahead and reboot that Hawk, the Wi-Fi Hawk. If you could actually unplug it, maybe remove the battery if that one's easy to remove the battery out of. And let's just power cycle it completely and see if it starts to behave.
it's really not easy to take the battery out.
Okay, don't worry about it then. Can you power cycle it easily?
Yep.
All right, let's do
that.
that then.
Josh should use the new macOS Big Sur for modems law. $2 super chat from our writers. Thank you. I don't know how the modems are going to use macOS, but we appreciate the support.
Yeah, I don't know what that even means. Big Sur for modems? Is that like a
Big
I don't
Sur
know.
is the new version of macOS, but I don't think
Okay.
modems like macOS.
It's very Internet of Thingsy, but for all I know, these run Java. Ugh. So is the line is sort of where it is right now. Do we ever expect to see the frost line? I mean, the thing almost looks like it's been painted. Does the frost line extend to the dome at all? Like, do we see frost on the dome? Or
I don't think so. I've been looking, and there is a small skirt at the very top of the cylindrical part is a small skirt. So the dome actually goes down a bit further than the very top of that cylinder part. So it might be slightly frosty and it's just obscured by the skirt, but we do not, like if you look at the bottom, there's that gap between the bottom bulkhead and the cylinder part where there's no frost. We do expect that also to be like that on the top. So when we do see frost up the skirt, or up the top bulkhead, excuse me, there will be a small gap in
Gotcha.
the frost line.
Okay. Is there anything else that we're looking for? Is there another vent that we may see vent, or are we going to see a big plume come from somewhere, or anything we learned from that previous test?
We did see, I think the rate of venting increased, Mary, as it got fully filled up. And then once it was entirely filled and ready to do the test, they just stopped venting and let it continue to pressurize until it failed. Is that what you remember, Mary? She might be working on the modems. I should not have asked her that. Yeah, I forgot about that. But yes, we do expect potentially a bit more venting and then the venting to stop when they actually pressurize it to failure.
Right.
At least that's what we saw in the previous test.
Okay, good deal.
Colin, thank you for the $5 super chat. Yes, we are working on turning the modems on and off.
That is literally what we did. I first tried to do it remotely. I disconnected it and reconnected it from the Wi-Fi, and that didn't jiggle the handle enough. Mary, hey, whatever you did, you just got the Ethernet modem back online. So we're getting uplink from that Ethernet modem now. I don't know what you did, but it did something.
Modern, thank you for $10. Really appreciate the support. Just tuning in, what did I miss? Well, you have not missed too much yet. We've just seen the frost line continue to increase. Hopefully in the next, I don't know, hour or two, we will see them pressurize this thing to failure. It is getting pretty full now, but it is based on the previous test, it did take several hours, so we don't know exactly how much longer it's going to be. But yeah, you didn't miss a whole lot yet, and the exciting action is still very much ahead of us.
The exciting action. Nice. I like it. All right. That sounds like we might have got Mary for just a second there, but it broke up. Yeah. Okay, she's typing in Discord. Okay. I'm gonna be typing over here to Mary in the text chat real quick, Michael.
Yeah. Josh, just for reference, both, based on what Mary is messaging us right now, both of the two Hawks did fail last time, and then she moved them off the window to see if that would help, and also power cycled it, and we didn't have an issue after that. So I don't know if overheating is the issue, but
the Hawks are bad for that. So if they're in direct sunlight, and the battery is installed in them, those Hawks they overheat sometimes, and they will misbehave drastically. So one of the tricks we use, like when I was out at Spaceport America last year, I actually had to remove the battery from the Hawk and run it on USB power only, and that prevented it from overheating because it wasn't trying to charge the battery at the same time that it was operating the modem, right? That's one solution that we could try, or just getting them into the shade, getting some airflow on them. That can work as well. Trying to run them on battery only can work as well. So again, it's technology, it's not magic. There's a lot of little vagaries to the way that this works.
Yep, you try to get the modems up high for better signal, and then you also put them in the sunlight so you overheat. It's a balance. It's lots of things trying to get right.
Yeah, that's why I was sitting down and I heard Chris B talking about, wow, I didn't know it took all this bandwidth, and I thought you just started a stream and it just worked, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot to go. Yeah. So it sounds like they are overheating. And so if the modems are overheating, I hope that Mary's not overheating, because that means it's pretty warm out there today. Did we look up what the temperature was out there, Boca Chica, about 9:46 in the morning?
No, but guess what I'm doing right now? I'm looking it up.
Nice.
It says 86 degrees right now, but 74% humidity, so it probably feels a lot warmer. And if it's indirect sunlight, it's probably more than that. But the high today is going to be 94 around 3 o'clock, so it's only going to get hotter throughout this test, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's one of those 94 feels like 102 things. All right, so I'm just giving some troubleshooting steps over here. The more we do this, Michael, the more and more I feel that we might want to move off of these consumer grade modems. I mean, that's what they are. At the end of the day, these are hotspots that you can walk into a Verizon store, AT&T store, or whatever, and pick up. They're not particularly cheap because Netgear's proud of them, but they are consumer grade hotspots, and there are much more robust solutions for this. Like that other thing that should be en route down to Mary, that chat says, I'm just sort of talking, we're mailing Mary another modem, but it's actually a vehicle grade. It's like a modem that you would put in an ambulance or an emergency vehicle, and it's like a hardened modem that's designed for permanent installation in a vehicle or some other remote location like that. And it doesn't overheat. When I go to Spaceport America, that modem is what I mount in a backpack, and I put this antennas sticking out of the top of the backpack. That thing will fry an egg and not overheat. You could literally crack an egg and cook it on top of that modem, and it doesn't care. It's like, whatever, I'm designed for this. So we may very well be looking in the future into getting up to something that's not the consumer grade modems. I mean, they work, that's great, but there may be a more robust solution for us to move to in the future. So again, chat, we appreciate y'all's support. Everybody that shows up at the stream and watches, lets ads roll, whatever you do to support it. We're able to level up our game because y'all keep showing up. So we appreciate y'all's support. And it looks like we may have a friend here joining us as well, still connecting to audio perhaps. You reading us there, Jack? You with us?
I don't know who is this. Who am I?
I don't, dude. You got a mirror handy? Maybe check your wallet to look for your ID. Did you write yourself?
Good morning.
A note? How's it going, Jack? How you doing?
Good. My standard IV of coffee is still beginning to drip into my veins, so I apologize for my lateness and my sleepy voice, but I'm waking up and I'm excited to see this thing be tested to hopefully destruction this time.
All right, y'all, if you're listening in, that's Jack. He's one of our commentator, photographer, video editor extraordinaire. All those new little cool labels that appear on Mary's videos that point out, like, this is the forklift operator, this is a parking lot, this is SN7. That's Jack's brainchild. So if you like those labels on the stream or on the videos, you have Jack to thank for that. Dude, Jack, those have been working out so well. They look so great.
Thanks, man. I'm really enjoying doing them, and the response from the community has been great. So only a matter of time until we keep adding more cool stuff like that to all of our videos, and that's no small part thanks to everybody's support. So thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Chat likes labels, it sounds like.
Yeah, they do.
Seeing all those messages right now.
Yeah, chat's going ham for all the labels, which I really appreciate because it is work. But I think it makes the video so much better. So thanks for the feedback, everybody.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks for joining us here, Jack. You can see the tank is already really frosty there all the way up the sides, and we've got nitrogen venting out of the top. So we're just standing by to see what this thing is going to do today. Slightly more excited than paint dry, but usually at the end of paint dry, it doesn't spew compressed nitrogen everywhere. So
for some reason, this always makes me think of those like paint shaker machines at Home Depot. I don't know why, but they're so terrifying. Like, you don't know at the end of it that the paint is going to be successfully mixed. There's a non-zero chance that paint could spew everywhere in the middle of the machine. I don't know why.
It's like Schrodinger's paint can or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow. So yeah, what is it? It's 7:50 for you out there on the West Coast, Jack?
Yep, sure enough.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Do we have good comms with Mary right now?
We did earlier, but then they seemed like they weren't too great. We might need to get her to reconnect. I show that she's muted right now, so let me type a message. See if we can get Mary on comms here.
Wait, who is it? Otrab in chat says April Fool, which is the Simpsons reference because Bart put a beer can in a paint mixer, and right when Homer opens it, Bart yells April Fool, and then it just cuts to like a nuclear explosion animation. It's a really good reference, Otrab. Let's see.
Hey, Michael, any qualms with me taking over the RDP for a second?
Nope, I'm out.
Yeah,
I
can do that.
Yeah.
And then also we have a $2 super chat from Cole Logan. Thank you so much, Cole.
Oh, nice.
They say those labels are awesome.
They really
Thanks,
are.
Cole.
Oh, dude, I know that they take more time for you to do, and I know that in our back channel chat, we're like, oh, what should we label this? Oh, should we label it this? Should we label it this? Like, it's sort of fun to see what the labels may turn out being, but the labels really have absolutely leveled up the game.
Yeah, I mean, it takes our videos from sort of more stock footagey kind of thing to more of like these are actual full-on videos that you want to sit down and watch the entire thing of and digest every single little piece of, which is just a huge change. So I'm really stoked on them. I don't know that they'll stay how they are right now, I'm still kind of just investigating what the best way to do all this is, and what kind of look I want to be able to pull off, and how quickly I can do it, because we all know speed is of the essence. So it might change a little bit going forward, but so far I have no plans to change it, and I will keep those labels around in some form or another, just because they're so nifty.
Yep, absolutely. All right.
So what I was just doing is I was looking at the frost line that we see right now to the previous test, because I was wondering how much longer it could be. And I would predict we have a couple more hours in store for us at least.
No.
So with that in mind, I am going to set a couple minutes and eat some breakfast. It looks like this might be a long day.
I like
be
long
back in a few
days.
minutes.
All right,
All right.
cool.
Enjoy, Michael. Get you some snacks. I'm working on that secret project here.
I'm also working on a secret project. The super secret project.
Yeah, I like the way we're just relentlessly teasing chat there. You guys can't know what this is. I'm sorry. It's just too cool for you. You can't know. You'll never know. I'll never tell you what I'm doing.
I'll never tell.
Exactly. You certainly won't be able to tell shortly.
All right.
Let's see.
The beep. All right, so we're all sort of working on a couple of things here, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for your patience while we troubleshoot. Well, I guess troubleshoot's probably not the right word, but while we work on a couple of different things. Let's see. And then right here, I'm letting this finish up, and then I'm gonna jump in and take some questions from chat. So chat, if you have any questions and haven't gotten to yet, throw those in the old chat queue there, and we'll try and get to them here shortly.
I don't know. Did anybody see the test? I just ran a quick test there. I don't know if anybody saw that.
I didn't.
Blocka, thank you for the 20 Australian bucks there. Forklift guy label is sweet, says Blocka. Thank you for that, Block. Make sure there real quick. Yeah.
Awesome.
So since Michael said that we're probably quite a bit away from something actually happening here, y'all know what happens. I have been working here at to bring some more cool content to the live stream, and we're waiting. Welcome back to the Bluebird camera. Thank you. The Bluebird camera now actually has an internal camera that has infrared, and you can see that I've got 4 little baby Bluebird nests. Mama is giving ceiling cat a bunny there. Yeah. I got a little IP camera, and I installed it in the top of the birdhouse, and now you can see I built a new birdhouse specifically to put cameras, and so that's live from my backyard right now. Mama Bluebird looking out, seeing what's going on.
That's some next level Bluebird.
Yeah, she's got her tail is covering them up, but you can see there's 4 little Bluebird eggs down that you can see sometimes. I increased the audio, I increased the video quality, I got it all focused in and dialed in and everything. But yes, welcome back to the Bluebird camera. They should be hatching in a couple of days. I'll let
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm super excited because baby birds look so crazy, but they're also so cute. But they're also so crazy. They look like wrong, but they're somehow they're still cute.
Yeah, they're so weird. Oh, they're so weird.
So weird.
Any words? That bird is you in the morning. You got your coffee, and the bird is like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's like, why is everything the way that it is? I hate everything. That's me.
You know, the little nest cam that looks down into the nest, it sort of reminds me of the SpaceX fuel tank camera, you know, when they sometimes have that camera that looks down.
Oh yeah.
There's like lock sloshing in the bottom of the fuel tank. It's sort of because of the
Aw.
round hole I drilled, right?
There's
Uh,
just birds sloshing in the bottom of the house.
exactly. Anyway, what bar did the bluebird's egg reach? I don't know. Somebody said I was raising mini surveillance drones to release down at Boca Chica. Yes, my electronic bluebird-shaped government surveillance drones to get us that closer footage. Kidding, totally kidding, totally kidding. There, flash on the screen. Birds aren't real. Hashtag birds aren't real.
Oh, flat bird theory.
The flat bird theory, nice.
Slightly morbid.
Anyways, yeah, if y'all don't know the origin of the bluebird, I do a lot of different live stream production stuff, right? I do stuff for museums. I do my own virtual field trip stuff. So I stream on Twitch. Sometimes. I do all sorts of different production stuff, and I have a bunch of live stream gear, and sometimes I need a way to test the live stream gear, right? So a company had given me a couple cameras that I used at IFA for SpaceX. Mevo
Nice.
Start gave me these cameras that are sort of little all in one unit IRL cameras, broadcast cameras, right? And I was testing them. I didn't have time at IFA to really get it working, and that was a big event. And so, Jack, you can probably back me up on this one. If you're at a big event like Falcon Heavy launch, or a plane is landing, like a one-of-a-kind plane is landing, or whatever's happening,
Yep.
you don't usually test out new gear for that.
Absolutely
big event.
not.
You don't want to miss it. You go with the gear you know. And so,
and if I'm ever renting something or using a new piece of gear for an event, I generally try and get as much use out of it as I can in the preceding days before the event, just so I know all its quirks. I know that it's set right. So yeah, I totally.
Yep. So I had gotten these cameras at IFA. The guy handed them to me on the dock. Remember, I took the boat out for IFA, and he handed me the cameras. I wasn't comfortable with them yet. I didn't know how to make them work.
Yeah.
And so I didn't use them, but I brought the cameras home to Charlotte, and I needed something to test them on, right? And so I take these two of the live stream cameras, and we happen to have that bluebird nest in the backyard, and so I pointed the live stream cameras at the bluebirds. And the server that we're using right now, the NSF Cloud server that we're using to produce the video currently, this was originally running the bluebird stream. And we put it all together. I tested everything out. I stress tested. I had multiple cameras coming in, like multiple angles on the bluebirds, remote control, like everything that we use for the stream here. I tested on the bluebirds. They were the test so that we could bring you the Starship coverage like this. And so every now and then I'd pop the bluebird camera online because it was all running through the same system. And so the bluebirds became sort of a meme here on the channel, and I had so much fun with them. I had to go back and upgrade the bluebird camera and get that new internal camera and stuff like that. But anyway, just testing. Yeah, and look. Chris B wants us to talk about something else. He's had enough of the bluebirds already.
So I got a nice segue here.
Yeah.
Did you know, Das, that one of my first job interviews right out of film school was for a little company called QVC.
QVC?
Yeah. Do you know what QVC is?
Yes. Oh yeah, like the Home Shopping Network.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Home Shopping Network. So the very first job I interviewed for out of film school was for a job being a camera guy at the QVC headquarters there. I think it was in Tampa, maybe Orlando, I forget. It's been like a decade now. But thank goodness I didn't get that job, because who knows what kind of life path I would have been led down had I worked at QVC.
What would you have been doing for QVC? Like running the camera, like pointing, here we have a set of knives or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They used some robotic cameras, I think, at the time, and so I would have been basically in a booth moving remote controlled cameras around. But that's neither here nor there. I bring it up because we, much like QVC, have a fun and interesting sales opportunity for our viewers.
Jeez, Jack, I like sales opportunity. Tell me more.
I just pasted a link in the chat, Das, to NASASpaceflight's new merch shop.
Merch shop? Where can I get this NASASpaceflight merch?
Well, there's a link in chat right now. Okay, I'm making myself sick. There's a link in the chat if you guys want to support what we do in any other way besides watching and the super chats and whatnot. We've got a online store now We've got all kinds of cool merch, and we're adding more all the time. We've got shirts, we've got towels, we've got all kinds of stuff, and we've got a picture-in-picture of a bluebird, because why not?
Picture of a blue. I turned that off, didn't I? I thought I turned that off.
No, it's on right. Oh, maybe I'm not live. That
No,
could
it should
be.
be off.
Yeah, okay, I'm
Okay.
not live. That's what it is. Okay, so sorry about that.
Only
So
three
yeah,
easy payments of $19.95.
Yeah, right. So we've got the merch store. I'm really, really proud of it. We've all been kind of working behind the scenes to come up with cool designs. So if you guys feel like checking it out, buying a thing, it supports us, and we really appreciate it. And you'll look cool too. So
And
I really like the Endeavor shirt. I think it's one of my favorite things on there. The Endeavor shirt has all the different historical craft that have been named Endeavor. There's the ship. There's what is it? The shuttle.
Yep.
Was there a capsule? Was there also a Gemini or Apollo capsule named Endeavor? And then of course Dragon Endeavor. That was Mark, right? That did that design. That was a really fantastic. It was a really, really, really fantastic design. And I love our store Discord, because whenever we're in there and a new design pops up, invariably someone will jump in and shout, "Oh my God, I love it! Take my money!" So
Take my money.
Our store, our store Discord is very much as excited about this as we hope all of you are. So yeah, if you feel like it, check out the store. I'll just throw a link in the chat there again. And if you want to check out the store, go for it. We really, really appreciate your guys' support, and it lets us keep doing cool stuff like this.
And so I'm working on being able to show some of the stuff in the store on screen right now. So
cool. Yeah,
we can
perfect.
do a little picture-in-picture, and I can put up a couple of the different store products. One thing that I wanna make sure everybody's understanding here: we didn't release it to everybody until it had international shipping. I've been around this scene for a while, and I know that it's rough to do these streams where we can reach the entire world, but then we're like, too bad. If you don't live in the United States, you can't order this stuff. So we sort of released it privately at first because it was US only shipping, but now we do have international shipping on the NASA Spaceflight store, right? So we didn't release it to everybody else until that international shipping was good. But I want to make sure everybody understands there are still some fulfillment time issues due to COVID-19. So don't expect 2-day shipping on the products. It's sort of a thing where it's like you order it, and depending on what you order, I think Julia got her drone ship beach towel in a couple days, right? I think she got that in less than a week, let's say. And I know that I've got some shirts coming in, but the shirts are going to take a couple of weeks because they're like nice embroidered with a logo and stuff like that. So I want to make sure everybody understands. We know that there are some pretty hefty delays in the fulfillment time. That is because of the COVID-19 situation and the provider that we're using sort of spooling up slowly their ability to produce that stuff. It varies based on product and where you are, but it's not like 2-day shipping. It is going to be a little slower to get to you. But I mean, you order it and it gets there, and then one of the day you forget about it. Then all of a sudden you have a package in the mail, and it's like a gift, like a surprise present that arrives. So
yeah, that's always fun. I just went to UPS yesterday because I thought I had SodaStream stuff delivered, and it ended up being a surprise package, which is always a treat.
Excellent.
So yeah, thank you everybody for checking out the store. I think that drone ship towel is super nifty too, just because it's the perfect design for a towel. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, I completely agree with you.
That was another one of those ones where once the work in progress was posted in the Discord, we were just like, oh my God, this needs to be a thing, because it's just perfect. So it's cool. I'm glad that we managed to get this up and running.
And so I'm Jack, if you want to answer some questions for a second, I need to focus and get this stuff on the screen. Yeah.
Cool deal, can do. Let's see. How come you guys didn't model the shirts? I mean, you've seen pictures of us. That's why. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we're
working on it here. Let's see. Flow getting more aggressive, asks to Crash. I don't know if I would say the flow is getting more aggressive. I mean, I'm seeing about the same amount of condensation. Let me rewind a little bit here. It could also be a change in wind, change in temperature, but reasonable speculation.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else we got? Oh, Kyle Denny, thank you. They say the Apollo 15 capsule was named Endeavour.
There you go.
I forgot which number Apollo capsule it was. Let's see, is Fortnite Sinclair? You already answered this to us, but Fortnite Sinclair asked, "Is shipping international for the NSF store?" And yes, shipping is international. Just to reiterate, yes, shipping is international.
Yep. Is shipping international?
It's international. I assure you, it's international.
Okay, good. All
Let's
right.
see. 1,000 Dots asks, "Is venting increasing?" I'm not seeing that, but it could be. I mean, yeah. I guess if I go back like 30 minutes, it appears to be less, but I don't know that it's actually less. Yeah, Tom Micken says, "Could the commentators commentate about the venting?" Yeah, so it's venting.
Yeah,
it's
it's
venting. It's
There you go.
venting gaseous nitrogen.
Yep.
It doesn't really appear to be increasing. It is being blown camera left. I forget if that's camera left or camera right. I somehow never learned that.
Yeah.
It's being blown to the left from our perspective.
It's venting from the top. Also,
Yes.
worked it out myself.
Yes.
Looked at the
They
video.
installed new vent hardware. I don't know if it's technically a double vent. That's what I labeled them. Someone tried to correct me in the comments, so they might have been right, and it could just be a single vent with some other hardware or what. I don't. But they installed a new piece of hardware on top there where the gas is venting out. And yeah, so it's venting. I don't know really what more else we can say about that other than it's indicative of the SN7 test tank being filled with liquid nitrogen. That liquid nitrogen is cryogenic, so it boils off as it warms. And then as it boils off, some of it turns into gas. The gas needs to go somewhere, and that's getting vented at the top.
Yep, right out the top.
Just right out the top. Hashtag right out the top.
Hashtag right out the top. Jack, I expect a label. I want a label that says the top. This is where it's venting. Do we think that that's increased, or is that an optical illusion? Was that Mary there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mary,
I was
up?
just going to say that the wind did pick up a little, so that may also make it look like it's venting more.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you for the input. I'm glad we have your voice back. You sound crystal clear.
Good.
Yeah.
It's so nice not only to hear you, but to not hear you with any of the robot stuff that Zoom used to do. It's really great.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking for some more questions. I'm not really seeing any. I don't think my chat queue can go all the way up. So I'm just going to start scrolling in chat.
Oh, and forklift guy is coming.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to come down the street here.
Oh, perfect. I labeled, I don't know if you saw me, I labeled a forklift guy on yesterday's video, but I guess what did everybody call it? Like a teleoperator or something like that? I guess it's not a forklift. Even though it had forks on it, I thought I was in the clear. That'll show me.
We have two forklift guys.
Oh,
Are they like doing donuts, or what are they doing? They driving somewhere?
Yeah, they're just parked behind me. One has. Looks like they're gonna unload a truck here.
Ah, gotcha.
You just unload a pallet of beer or something and set it down at your feet and start bowing.
Unfortunately, it's just water.
It's just water.
That's fine too. Sweet life-giving water. All right. Let's see. Maybe this was asked before. Michael Shorten asks, but why did they go to double valve vent at the top of the tank this week? I wish I had a good answer for that, but I don't. I mean, my only inkling there would be they tested it to a certain pressure level. They appeared to repair it, and they are putting in a new vent. Those are the three pieces of information we do have and we do know. So if they now have repaired it and they are going to presumably test it to a higher pressure level, perhaps something with the double vent setup will allow them to safe the vehicle quicker, or vent everything out of there quicker, or perhaps even load it quicker. So I don't know, but what we do know is that they are advancing to a higher energy or higher pressure test. So perhaps these valves in some way or another facilitate that transition to a higher pressure. How exactly or why exactly, I do not know. I wish I did. If you do know, comment in chat and I will read it. And if it sounds plausible, I will probably repeat it on stream, whether or not I know that it's correct. Because that's just how it works.
That's just how it works. That's how we roll.
But yeah, that's a good question. Thanks for asking. Let's see, what else we got? Yeah, everyone's saying telehandler. It was a telehandler. What is a telehandler? Now I'm asking Chat a question. Chat, what's a telehandler?
Farm simulator?
No.
We should play farm sim sometimes, Jack. It's like all different farm equipment and forklifts and tractors and stuff like that. So you would know what a telehandler was if we ever played farm sim together. There's multiplayer.
Okay. Yes, I am so down. I am 100% down for a farm simulator session.
We did that with the community once, and we were playing farm sim, but I was operating as like farm control instead of mission control. I was farm control, and I was like, "Could we bring the forklift over to pad 3, please?" And then somebody would go and hop in the forklift and drive it over. All right, copy. We're about 60 seconds out from that. Do we do like a go no go pull to plow a field?
That's amazing. That sounds really fun.
Oh. So yeah, a telehandler is just like it's sort of a forklift with an extension, like like an extending boom forklift. It's almost like a combination of one of those the lifts, like the cherry pickers, but it has a forklift thing on the front of it instead of a crate of case for people to stand in.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I almost wanted to call it a boom lift when I was labeling it, but at a certain point, you just kind of have to make a decision and go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chad is saying
they're called MEAT, Material Equipment Allocation Technicians.
Nice. Kev 20 UK asks, what pressure are we at? And we don't know, Kev. I wish we did. That'd be cool if I had like a little sign out front that just had the pressure.
Yeah, if there was some way for us to know that, that would be cool to put on the screen, but we don't know. SpaceX knows. They have like their control center where they do all their testing, but that's not information that's shared in real time to the public. We get the information because Elon tweets about it after the test happens, right?
Yep. And then let's see, 1000 Dots says having 2 valves instead of 1 means if one locks up, you have a backup. So redundancy, that's plausible to me. Brian Cariri says with a double vent, they have more control over venting, and also now there is redundancy. So more control and redundancy. That's a plausible explanation to me. Let's see, Simon Ginadowski. I'm sorry, Simon. Simon says need to vent gas and nitrogen to so you need to vent gaseous nitrogen to fill tank with liquid nitrogen. If you vent quicker, you can fill quicker. That makes a lot of sense. So the gaseous nitrogen they're saying is filling the top portion, the unfilled with liquid portion of the tank, and it is creating sort of a back pressure there. So without the ability to let that gaseous nitrogen out, you can't then pump in more liquid nitrogen. So 2 vents at the top would let the gaseous nitrogen at the top vent out quicker, which means you could pump in liquid nitrogen more quickly. So that's also a plausible and reasonable explanation. Good going, chat. And yeah, right now DDView says simply normal boil off is what we're looking at right now, which I would agree with. We're just looking at standard cryogenic gas heating up, cryogenic liquid. Is there cryogenic gases? Anyways, standard cryogenic liquid turning into a gas, boiling off, and being vented into the atmosphere because it's nitrogen. So much of our atmosphere is nitrogen, like 70-something%, so it's no big deal to vent it. And of course, if they didn't vent it, it would pop prematurely, presumably. Oh, look at that, 3 Ps. I got a 3P alliteration in there.
What's that mess? I'm back.
Welcome back.
Hooray. Michael, are you comfortable chatting for like a minute while I go get coffee and everything sorted?
Yep. Chat wants the British guy back. Unfortunately, the British guy had to go back to work.
Yeah.
I do think his voice adds a significant amount to the production value of the stream just by nature of being British.
I concur. I completely concur.
Jack, you answered a flare stat question yet in the queue? I think Jack left already.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, I did not.
No, we did not. Where the flare stack is? Was that question?
No, it was a question about if the flare stack was repaired or if they installed a new one. I think this is getting at the fact that we think the original flare stack got slightly bent in the SN4 anomaly, But Mary, I'm not entirely positive, but I think it's the same one. Is that what your impression was? I don't know if Mary can hear us.
She's been having connection issues. I'm working with
okay.
those on her right now.
This is
Or
what
I'm working
happens
on those.
when you've been gone for a bit and you come
Yeah.
back. You don't know what's
Oh,
happening.
we also
Okay.
talked about the bluebirds. They
Oh
made me
yeah, I was watching. I did see a live feed from somewhere else. It did not look like Texas.
definitely not Texas. And then also we talked about the store products as well, Michael. I don't know if you caught that, but I actually have the ability to do remote presentation on the store stuff. So like of course, I still lie here beach towel that's got a recognizable bingo related graphic on it there. What was the other ones? I'll just run through a couple real quick. The travel posters, the Boca Chica, come visit the Boca Chica shipyard. The Boca Chica travel poster there. That's, I guess, not really full screen or anything. And where was the... I like this one. Where's the... here we go. This is in women's. The Roadside Rocket Science shirt is one of my favorites. The Roadside Rocket Science shirt with the skyline of Boca Chica test facility there on it. So anyways, I set that up so that we can remote present too, Michael.
Yeah. And I'm adding a Nightbot command for the store right now.
Pretty cool. But that's the so that feature right there is the same thing we can use so that anybody can present to NSF Live. That was literally coming hot off my desktop here in real time. So,
well, in terms of flare stack, it did look like the top of it was charred. It looks to be about the same height as the previous one, so it's at least a flare stack that's been used before based on the top part of it being charred. But I'm guessing it is the same flare stack they had before.
yeah. Some people saying that they may think that frost is forming on the top dome there. Do we see any difference in reflectivity or anything? Can't. Maybe coming up the leeward side of the top dome.
Yeah. It's hard to see with that reflection.
Yeah, gotcha. We're not expecting a hop today, y'all. I saw a couple people asking if we could expect a hop today, and we are not expecting a hop today. This is a pressure test. It's a cryo test, which means it's cold. Cryo pressure test, which means it's pressurized, I guess, too. But this is nitrogen. This is an inert gas. This is for testing the pressure capacity of the tank when under cryogenic conditions. So we don't expect there to be a fireball or anything like that going on. It's just a pressure test. We expect ice. We see condensation. It looks like the side of the normally gleaming silver tank. That stainless steel tank is actually a frosty white. That's actually ice condensing onto the, or I guess water vapor condensing onto the side of the stainless steel and then freezing into ice. But that tank is very cold right now. It would definitely keep your beverages frosty if you were to, I guess, rub them on the side of it. Don't drop your beverages into the tank. But this is not a hop. This is not a static fire. It's not a pre-burner. It's not a spool up. It's not anything like that. In fact, there are no explosive, flammable, I guess, and liquids being used here in the test today. That is just nitrogen, a nice inert gas that they can pressurize and get cold.
We get the question so much, we're going to need to do a shirt that just says, just no context, no illustration or anything, just text on a shirt that just says, are you expecting a hop today? Or are we expecting a hop today? Nothing else.
No.
Yeah, it does look like there is some frost working its way up that top bulkhead.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Robert Hobson, has there been any venting from the ground? I remember last test, both the top vent and bottom vent were active. I don't think we've seen much venting from the ground yet. I think that's where when they're detanking the vehicle, they vent the remaining liquid nitrogen out from. We have not seen that yet. We will probably see that after they finish today's testing.
Right.
We also, I think, might have seen the grass vent, which is off screen to the left a bit last time. Mary has not reported seeing any action there yet.
Gotcha. All right. And let's see. I don't know if Mary can hear me right now, but Mary, you've looks like you bounced the modems and you got both of the Hawks back online. So I'll go type that to her as well. But we were getting some bandwidth from the Hawks there, which is good. Good. That doesn't mean we have a bird that's like a Wi-Fi network or anything. The modems are called Nighthawks. It's a Netgear product, so it's not a 4G bird-based relay drone or anything.
Well, that's good. We've got those back online. I do see
Yeah.
some venting at the what we call the grassy area,
Yep.
and I have seen some venting from the above the white tanks at the tank farm.
So there you go. We
All
do
right.
have venting from the other locations then.
Yep. Very cool.
Again, if you have questions, tag us in chat and we'll do our best to answer.
Yep. Amongst many other things. We're juggling a lot of stuff when these streams are going on, but
yeah, if you're just joining, this is Starship SN or the SN7 test tank for Starship being pressure tested to failure. Starship SN5 and Starship SN6, which are both full-scale prototypes. Both of their tank sections have been fully stacked and are currently in the high bay. We expect Starship SN5 to roll out to launch pad within the next few days, most likely once the crews finish up completing the new test stand for the full Starship testing, which you see on the left-hand side of your screen. After the Starship SN4 anomaly, there was a lot of damage to Launchpad. So over the past 2 weeks, the teams have been quickly working to repair the damage and build a new test stand. And they're just wrapping up the final part of that work. And then hopefully we'll have a bunch of Starship streams with Raptor engines in action coming up in the next week or so. So stay tuned for that. But today it's just the test tank pathfinder vehicle with some new welds and a new type of steel being tested to see if this will perform better than the previous Starship builds. Mika's asking, when can we expect to see the next Falcon Heavy launch? Well, the next Falcon Heavy launch is currently scheduled for the end of this year. That has been scheduled that way for a long time, and typically launch dates do slide to the right a bit. So I don't know if it's actually going to happen at the end of this year or if it's going to be an early next year kind of thing, but hopefully there will be a Falcon Heavy launch within the next several months. It is probably going to be a bit of time there between the previous Falcon Heavy launch and the next one. That's just how launch manifests go sometimes. But once the Falcon Heavy, I think based on the manifest we've seen so far, it's always hard to know for sure because sometimes SpaceX does not announce every launch contract they get. It's kind of up to the customer usually to announce that they signed a deal with SpaceX. But I do think we are unlikely to see gap in the Falcon Heavy launch cadence that we saw between the previous Falcon Heavy launch and the next Falcon Heavy launch, at least for the foreseeable future again. So I think once the next Falcon Heavy launch happens, there'll be consistently at least maybe like 2 or 3 Falcon Heavy launches per year.
Gotcha.
Andrew's asking, how viable do you think Starship can be as a point-to-point vehicle, given that moderate weather scrubs launches all the time, an airliner can take off in any condition, in almost any conditions? Yeah,
this
that's
is a really
good
good question. I forget what stream it was. It was a couple weeks back, and I specifically mentioned that they're going to have to, at some point with Starship, start expanding their envelope of what they're comfortable launching through. And I used that exact example of planes being able to land in instrument-only conditions
Yep.
You mean planes can come in with a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind. Planes can go, take off through thunderstorms. They can do all kinds of things that rockets can't, and that's something that a lot of people might not have considered as part increasing humanity's access to space. Something that needs to get done, because we're even seeing it now, seemingly with Falcon 9, has such a rapid cadence of launch that there's times where we actually had good weather to launch, but the weather downrange at the recovery zone was unacceptable, or we didn't have good weather to launch, but weather at the recovery range was good, and so it's very variable. I mean, we all remember the demo 2, the scrub that happened because of all the lightning, like little things like that, seemingly little things that we just sort of accept in the rocket world. That stuff is going to have to change. So the question was, how viable could Starship be as point to point? Hopefully very, and hopefully these are all things that they're taking into consideration. And I am slightly unnerved by its lack of abort capability. But then people say, oh, airliners don't have abort capability. So I think, clearly in a variety of ways, they're trying to approach more airliner-like operations, and I sure hope that they can. And then my one remaining point there would be my counter to, oh, it doesn't have an abort, just like an airliner. Airliners can fly on one engine. There's a thing called ETOPS, engines turn or passengers swim, and it's a rating that means that's what it means. And it's a rating that basically means if a 2-engine plane is going across a big body of water, those engines with X amount of failure, or with X amount of certainty, I forget exactly what the specification is, will keep turning. And if one fails, the other one has such a high reliability that it will keep turning, even if one fails. And one engine is enough to power the whole plane, to get it to limp to wherever it's going. So I don't know what the ETOPS equivalent for Starship would be. I mean, it's going to have several engines, so it could also have engine out, which is essentially what ETOPS is. But yeah, I don't know. I hope Starship could be viable for point to point, because I want it to be. I don't know how viable it could be. What are your guys?
I mean, planes definitely have an abort. I don't understand why somebody would say that planes don't have an abort. There's go-arounds, there's touch and goes, there's all sorts of ways that you can abort all sorts of operations in an airliner because
Of course, but it's a very common line. I mean, I hear that line a lot when Starship's lack of abort is referenced, and I understand it. I understand the cognitive process that gets you to that statement, but it's incorrect.
Yeah, I don't understand that. So
I think people are thinking at it like a capsule, where the capsule can, like, if the rocket fails, the capsule can totally split off. Something on the airplane that can totally split off, but it's kind of different the way a plane operates compared to a rocket.
yeah, I think they mean they don't have ejection seats.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah.
That's a more accurate way to say what I think that they're saying. But
Yeah.
I mean, Jack, you asked. I am honest about this. I don't know that personally I would fly on a point-to-point Starship unless it was more of a space plane design that had some sort of cross range, some sort of gliding ability. As long as it's landing on engines, and that is, you either land on those engines or you're in trouble. I would be much more comfortable if this was a suborbital thing where they sort of accelerated you up to the suborbital trajectory to go over to Hong Kong or whatever, and then when you came down, you were actually flying as a plane with some glide ability, some cross range, maybe install a couple jet engines on there that can activate so you can divert or whatever. That would make me way happier about.
So you want something more like Sabre or even what Virgin Galactic might end up doing for a point to point.
Something like that. Just the fact that it has no ability to divert, it has no cross range, it has nothing. If you don't land on those engines, make them as reliable as you want, make them as redundant as you want. Oh, if this one doesn't turn on, we'll turn on another one. As long as its engines are nothing, I don't know that personally I would feel really comfortable with that design from a safety perspective.
Yeah, and there's the other aspects too of oh my god, I just completely blanked.
Yeah.
My brain. Oh my god, I completely blanked. What were you just saying?
I was just saying about cross range on a plane, the ability to abort, the ability to glide, to divert to a different
Oh,
airport.
exactly. The not only is the Starship's like lack of abort, lack of cross range, lack of divertibility. There's also just, I mean, we all know, I've talked about it before, that crazy landing sequence that we've seen, and we've only seen it so far in like one simulation. It's an animation. We don't even know how accurate it is, but it just shows that crazy Ivan type of like you're heading prograde, and then you know the last second swing around retrograde and burn. I mean,
Yep.
that's fine for cargo. I don't know how that would feel as a human. So, but
Yeah. I want to see some sort of expanse style gimbals for the seats where depending
exactly.
on the vector of your acceleration, it swings you around, and that would be
That's
cool.
that's seemingly what it would require, right?
Yeah. And of course, there's always a helicopter. Helicopters are pretty bad, but people fly in those. Helicopters can't even auto rotate, right? Starship can't even do anything like an auto rotation where you store
Yeah, but
kinetic energy in the blades and you try to.
I
you
will
don't wanna
say
have
that helicopters, they can auto rotate, and that is a thing that like that's a plus and makes helicopters less sketchy. However, if you're not high enough, you're not going to have the
Yeah.
ability to auto rotate, and a lot of times helicopters fly extremely close to the ground by nature.
Yep.
And you know, part of the process the helicopter pilot might follow in flying out of a heliport is get up to a safe altitude so that if something does go wrong, you can auto rotate, and then
Right.
you fly at that safe altitude from point A to point B. But if a helicopter is doing work, say doing a survey on some kind of infrastructure or what have you,
Yep.
then they're gonna be flying low, and if anything happens, they don't have any kind of room to recover. So auto rotation is good, but only applicable in certain situations. And also, if anything hits those blades, it's like cars. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want cars to touch. You don't want those blades to touch anything, not a bird, not a piece of debris, not something flying out of the cabin. And if you lose the tail rotor, if you lose the main rotor, it's sayonara. So
Yeah.
helicopters, I love helicopters. I love flying in them. I love working in them. But they're a little bit sketchy, if you ask me.
Jack, at one point I was working with a helicopter flight school about
Yep.
live streaming helicopter training. So just
Yep.
going through all the different pre-checks you have to do and then taking it up and talking about how the helicopter is controlled. So we were doing all this from a live stream virtual field trick perspective. And the guy, the flight instructor that was going to take me up, I actually did go for a flight in the helicopter at the school. We met beforehand and we were talking about what we were going to do. And he whips out this binder. And on the front of the binder, there was a picture of a helicopter and it said Whirling Death Machine Manual. And I was like, really? Really? I'm going to get in the helicopter with this guy and his manual says Whirling Death Machine on the top of it?
I find pilots tend to have a higher aptitude for comedy. I don't know what the crossover there is, but frequently when I've been briefed by a pilot, there's been humor involved, and I think that's a valuable, it's a valuable thing in moments of intense seriousness to have a little bit of levity.
Yeah. The helicopters don't fly; they beat the air into submission.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's fun to talk about these things. It's fun to think about these things. I really would love to see cargo starships. Like, imagine that you have a point-to-point cargo thing where, yeah, okay, it's cargo. It's not human life if something happens, but cargo's a whole different class of transport, right? Automated, not crewed, no pilot on board or anything like that. I would love to go. Gosh, that would be really cool to see starships flying point-to-point cargo. Like, it's the 3 o'clock rocket. Like, how many stories have you read? And it's like, oh, well, the rumble of the 3 o'clock rocket from the spaceport goes off. And I'm like, I want that. I want the 3 o'clock rocket,
Yeah, what is that? Is that Martian Chronicles? It sounds eerily familiar.
Oh, so many of the old like Asimov science fictions, just the world building stuff that they did. And it was part of the immersion, part of the look at how ubiquitous this is now. It's just rockets. It's a 3 o'clock cargo rocket, whatever, taking off for whatever. I don't even know. I've read that so many places.
And I definitely think, I mean, if you think about how SpaceX got to Crew Dragon, first they did Falcon 9, then they did, Cargo Dragon, and then they did Crew Dragon. So it makes absolute sense that first they will build starships, then they will put cargo on starships, then they will put humans on starships. That's just like a very obvious and plausible progression. So yeah, I bet you if they are serious about point to point and they continue to pull that string, we will first see cargo point to point, which I'm sure FedEx and other delivery companies would love to contract SpaceX on, and then offer you know, some kind of crazy super fast across the world service at exorbitant prices, but companies surely will pay for it, and SpaceX could find a market there, and then that's just more funding for Starship, and the virtuous cycle begins and then cycles, hopefully.
I would love to see that, because that would help us move forward into space, because point to point hypersonic suborbital transport for cargo, that's a lot of the way towards orbit, and that would be a stack of cash. That would be a lot of money that
I think,
Elon could get access
yeah.
to if he broke into that cargo market.
I think about hypersonics a lot of the same way that I imagine breaking the sound barrier back in, you know, however long ago was thought of, because it was like, oh, we can't even go through the sound barrier, as some people thought. You know, maybe it'll destroy the plane, or it's
Oh,
an impenetrable barrier. And in a lot of ways, hypersonics to me right now, we are so not far along technologically. It feels like, oh, can we even go that fast? It would just melt the vehicle, or it's too dangerous, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm hoping that over the next, you know, decade, hopefully not too much longer than that, decade or two, we as humans become better at that area of expertise. It'd be really cool, because it seems like it's so hard and so impossible right now. But give us, you know, 5-10 years of research and whatnot on the topic, and it'll be hopefully seem more commonplace. And then at a certain point, it'll become boring, and it's like, oh geez, I got to turn up my TV. There goes the 3 o'clock spaceship. Like, gosh, I'm so annoyed. I'm not even going to go to the window and look at it. You know, that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're hoping for, anyways.
Really quickly, let me address this. Some people are asking if we could focus the camera. The camera is in focus right now. This is about 1.4, 1.5 miles away, and it's hot down there in Texas. We're at the beach. There's a lot of humidity in the air, and that is just the wavering. It's not that it's not in focus. That is just the amount of air in between and the reach that this lens has. So I wanted to pop over to that really quickly.
Yeah, and also quickly, a couple people in chat are saying there's a couple questions about whether or not there is some leaking from the top bulkhead. I have been saying what you're saying. I think that is most likely just condensation, like you were saying from the bottom earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, it's possible it could be leaking, but I'm pretty sure we're just seeing some condensation buildup. And of course, at the very top, that is expected venting.
Yep. Thanks, Michael.
Oh man, I just had to ninja mute because I sneezed. I hopefully it didn't I got it in time.
I have a big button on my desk, literally a physical button that I can dive for that just cuts my microphone connection. So if I sneeze, I dive for the emergency sneeze button.
Yeah, I need to get something like that set up. That would be honestly ideal.
It's more difficult when it's software and it's like, oh my gosh, where's the window? Oh gosh, if I click on the button, it's harder. This is just a big button I can slap on my desk.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what other questions we got here. Manuel Gregor asks, will they stack Starship on land and then move the floating launch platform out, or will they stack it out in the ocean? Seems like either way, it's waiting to fall over to wind or waves. Well, much like icebergs, a lot of these submersible and semi-submersible oil platforms have way more going on under the surface than they do at the surface, and so they could have very, very, very large ballast tanks and sort of like pontoons at the end of the structure, way hundreds of feet underwater, and fill those ballast tanks up with water, and then that whole structure could either sit on the ocean floor or just have an incredibly low center of gravity. So I'm not really worried about. I'm sure SpaceX is very smart. They'll figure out the tipping problem one way or another, surely. As to whether or not they'll stack it on land or stack it at sea, very good question. I have no idea. It seems like it would be easier to transport unstacked and then stack it at the platform, but we don't know, and that is just me speculating.
Yeah, Jack, I don't know what they're going to do either for sure, but I grew up down around Corpus Christi, near the area, right? The South Texas coast. And
Yeah.
You would be amazed at some of the oil rig infrastructure that they send out already vertical. So they send entire drilling platforms out, completely built on the shore, and they put them on this big, massive transporter ship. And I mean, it actually makes Starship and Super Heavy look like tiny little play toys compared to some of the oil field infrastructure that's built down there. And
absolutely.
So, I don't know what they're going to do, but I can tell you that they can transport some massive equipment already vertical. Their building yards, actually, if you look over past South Padre Island here, as you're driving to Boca Chica, you'll actually see some massive construction yards where they build these oil field equipment. And it makes the SpaceX operation look like this teeny little play toy, like with a bunch of little stuff, the stuff they're building just over up the coast a ways. But I don't know what they're going to do. But I know that we definitely have the technology and engineering to move stuff around.
Yeah, and there's also I forget what they're called. I think it's like it's a ship, but you can actually sink the ship.
Like the cruiser was on, or the destroyer was on, right?
Yeah, the USS Cole. Okay, I just googled it. The MV Blue Marlin. Here, I can throw a photo in chat if you feel like.
I'll put it on the screen. What was that?
No.
MV Blue Marlin, you said?
Yeah, bam. I mean, that picture says it all.
Yeah, here, I got it. I'll put it on the screen real quick. Takes just a second.
So if you're concerned about how SpaceX will transport a massive vehicle like Starship, know that it is a relatively solved problem.
Yeah.
How exactly they will do it, it remains to be seen, but just know that they can totally, absolutely do it. And we're there. You can check that out. The USS Cole, that is a what is it, a battleship or a cruiser?
A cruiser or destroyer. I'd had to look it up.
There you go. And then, it's just sitting on the back of another ship. That's the MV Blue Marlin. There's a couple of those in the world. I'm sure there's many different companies that operate them. But basically, you sink the ship. That flat platform is below the surface of the water, which allows you to then roll or float whatever you do want to transport on top of that flat area. Then the ship ejects the ballast and then floats back up. And then there you go. You have a little transport situation going on. Or I guess a big transport situation going on.
Cole is a guided missile destroyer, Jack.
Oh wow, okay.
Guided missile destroyer.
An Arleigh Burke class destroyer. Thanks, Ron Smith.
I'm trying to get a displacement real quick. I just want to find the USS Cole information. Let's see. That ship is 505 feet long, so it's 154 meters long.
600 or 6,800 long tons, or 6,000 or 8,900. Wait, displacement light. Is there light displacement and a full displacement? Light displacement is 6,800 long tons. Full displacement is 8,900 long tons.
That's a lot.
Or 9,000 tons full and 6,900 tons. I don't know what's a long. I guess a long ton and a ton are relatively similar. I learned things on stream.
I had to Google that.
Anyways, so yeah, that's
tell us, but I don't know.
That's a very good question. And yeah, that's how they'll do it. Probably something along those lines.
Yeah.
We
have technology how to move things around. That's for sure.
Yeah, humans are good at that. If they're good at anything. Let's see.
If you're just joining us, wondering what's going on here, we are standing by. That's SN7 out there. This is a cryo test. They have they have nitrogen, cryo nitrogen in there right now. Nothing explosive from a flammable perspective, but we do expect this is going to be a test to failure. And I don't know if it looks like it's venting a lot more from the top now. It's so hard. It
does.
Tell. Yeah,
it does sort of look like it, but I always second guess
is.
myself with these things.
It definitely is.
It definitely is. Michael said it definitely is. So maybe there's some things happening, and maybe there's some progress happening. I almost feel like the ice line has moved up on the top skirt a little bit.
Yeah,
the bottom looks
totally
frosty. The white is completely iced. The side is completely iced over with that white ice. You can see the silver stripes on the stainless steel. That's the area where it's a skirt. And the liquid nitrogen is not directly touching the stainless steel there, but where it turns white, that's liquid nitrogen on the other side of that stainless steel inside that tank. But it looks like it's going off like a kettle now.
Whoa. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Weird. Discord just disconnected me and reconnected me automatically.
It's just looking out for you.
Yeah, I just rewinded about 40 minutes, and you can definitely see the ice is still climbing. You're dead on, 100% correct. And it does look like the top dome is also icing up significantly. So we're probably getting close to pretty full.
Yeah. Again, last time, y'all, that the test took many hours. It was hours and hours and hours. They've been going for about, what time did the window open? 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
So they've been going for about 2 hours and 47 minutes here. So it may still be a long time before we see a pop or a leak, or we may not see anything. You know, we may see this and then it might just stop venting. We'll see.
I think it'll be at least 4 hours total before we start to see some action in terms of them pressing it to it pop.
It does look at that, y'all. It looks like you see the gleam on the top dome, and the gleam doesn't go all the way down, sort of that sun reflection. It looks like that's ice on that top dome now.
That's yeah, exactly. If you rewind a little bit and then go back, you can see that appear, and so that's a good indicator. You look at that reflection, you can kind of tell how high up that ice is. Although looking at it, rewinding, it looks like the reflection stays about the same height. So maybe I should shut my mouth, but definitely you can see ice forming when you click back 40 minutes and then click forward again. You can it looks brighter and whiter up to about where that reflection is, and it could be even higher. Now that I'm looking, we might have a relatively full tank on our hands here, guys.
Yeah.
If not full. Ooh, Vax Headroom asks, what is the volume on this tank? Has anyone done the math there? That's a really good question.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good question. I'm sure we could do the math. I'm not a math. That's why I am a camera person. So yeah, if someone wants to be a mathologist in the chat there, be my guest.
Look at the stream, Jack. Look at the stream.
Yes, look at it go.
Like that? Took me a second. Sorry.
I put it in the wrong spot though.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I fixed it.
There we go. Yay!
Now we can do that.
Labels. And that's
definitely a little bit more work, but we can put labels on the live stream now.
Yeah, and we can figure out how to make that even less work. This is all a work in progress, and it is all because we have support from everybody. Honestly, if I had done the labels one day and nobody had said anything, I probably wouldn't have spent the time to do it again. But everybody flipped out so hard for the labels, so
yeah,
it's a feedback loop. So thank you, everybody.
Yep.
We need a touch screen interface where you can just like tap with your finger on the screen where you want the label to appear, and then it disappears there.
That'd be awesome.
Live stream.
Oh,
that would be legit.
Yeah, it would.
Let's see. Go ahead,
Michael. We could do that. You know, I mean, if you give me a web page that we loaded up as a browser source that labels could be moved around on, I could label that in just like any other overlay.
I can just push all the labels that I make at the end of the day to some common folder, and so that any label that exists in a daily video can exist in a folder that's accessible for anybody to grab.
Yeah.
The dots I can make it so you could click the web page that's shown on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I could do that.
Well, I could make that happen too.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's the next overlay upgrade, I guess. Yeah.
You could have like text box on one side. You could type in the text, and you could click. You could just have a little representative screen, and you could click about on the screen where you wanted it. And then when you hit publish, the overlay just makes it appear in that location with that text. And then when you hit the other button, it fades away, and it's just an overlay like everything else. Super, super simple from my perspective, because I'm just putting a web page URL onto the stream, the stream compositor.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
Hashtag label my life.
Moldy Space. Wow. They say it's about 614 cubic meters of volume.
No kidding?
614 cubic meters of volume. What is something else that is about 614 cubic meters?
I have no clue.
Oh, weird. I just typed in 600 cubic meters into Google, and it gave me a conversion for volume, and it says 158,503 US liquid gallons.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true, but that's what Google says.
I mean, Google's usually pretty good.
It says what it's doing is it's approximating, and it's multiplying 600 by the volume value, or by 264. So 158,500 gallons of liquid nitrogen potentially in that tank. That's fun.
That's a lot of liquid nitrogen.
Thanks, Moldy Space. That was awesome. Seriously, thank you, Moldy Space. It's not the kind of thing that I can do on the fly. I can put labels on things, and I can edit stuff, and I can shoot photos, but I'm not about to do that math, so thank you.
Someone's asking if we can point out the flare stack's new location. It is right in front of SN7. You see that small stick pointing up above the frost line? That is a new flare stack.
Oh yeah, look at that. It's a shame it's not burning right now. We could have some fire and ass. Fire and ass. How tall is each ring? Is it 6 feet or 9 feet? I forget.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. Here.
Good question though, Roy Cohey. Jimmy Sheridan asks, have they done any changes to the flare stack? We don't know. We don't think so. But again, we don't know. We just saw we don't even know if it's the same stack or if it's a new stack. I mean, there's so much oil infrastructure in that area. It could very easily be literally the exact same model stack, but not the same stack that that they've been previously using. So it's a unknown. Michael, we're getting a request for outside temp on the oh no, they wanted us a lower third. Never mind, shut up. I'll shut up. I thought somebody was asking for temperature next to the clock, but no, they want a label. And I have thus given myself more work. Fanch says 1 Olympic pool equals 4 SN7 tanks.
Well, there you go.
Nice. Thank you, chat. But then somebody else says an Olympic swimming pool is 2,500 cubic meters, so a quarter of that. So now I don't know who to trust. And then let's see what else we got here.
Did you get the super chat, Jack?
Oh, we got Own High says we need some heat haze on the labels. Yeah, we could composite in a little bit of haze on the label itself so it like matches with the backdrop a little bit better. That's totally a thing we can do. I'm not going to do it, but we could do that. Thank you for the super chat. Chat is going crazy now with the comparisons. About 15 large road tankers. That is about $300,000 of liquid nitrogen. $614 cubic meters equals my bucket for ice right now. And Bree Jiu-Jitsu asks, this test is liquid nitrogen, you said. Yep, just liquid nitrogen. They're doing a pressure test. They will fill it up, which it appears to be pretty full, if not completely full right now. And they're going to, at some point, close off the top valves, and they will let the vehicle self-pressurize. I believe that's how they'll do it. And yeah, see what happens. Hopefully a destructive test, and they'll get the data they want. About 89 million bottle caps full of liquid nitrogen. What? Stop.
How many blue whales is it though? Oh,
Yeah, honestly, that's exact. I was exactly thinking of the ULA blue whale ferrying graphic. It's precisely what I was thinking of. And it's not just that. It's any kind of thing where a company wants to convey the size of something. It's always some. It's like 89 fire trucks. It's like, yeah, well, I guess fire truck's a good one, but there's so frequently when they do those size comparisons. It's like, well, okay, but I also don't know how that thing you're comparing it to is. So, question mark? It's not really a useful measure. Someone saying the drone is out? I don't know if we have comms with Mary. Mary, are you seeing a drone? I'll ask in chat as well.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
Oh, right now I don't see the drone.
It sounds like we might have lost you. We heard you don't see the drone. Did you say anything after that?
No, right now I don't see the drone up.
All right,
I
cool.
was
So
just trying
maybe
to
someone
look around more.
got it. Okay, so yeah, maybe someone's just seeing a bird or something. They can look similar sometimes. Awesome. All right, let's see. I'm going through chat. I'm looking for some more. How many bananas? No, I'm not. All right, we're done with this. With the we're done with the size comparisons. 1,700,300 frosty beers. No. All right,
Hey.
I gotta stop encouraging him.
Jack, I'm gonna need to step away for just a second here, okay?
Yeah, do your thing.
All right, good deal.
Mary, if you can hear me, what's it like out there? I know you said the wind picked up a little bit. Is it what, in the 90s temperature wise, I'm guessing?
I'm thinking in the 80s. It's not supposed to be quite as warm today, and it's supposed to be overcast. So,
Oh,
and
excellent.
it's definitely a nice breeze. So, I'm good.
Good. Good. That's always good to hear.
Yeah.
People
So,
are asking. Or go ahead,
go ahead.
Jack.
No, you.
I was gonna say people are asking. People always ask us if we can like have food delivered to Mary. If there was not a soft checkpoint, we would. That'd be a great idea. It's just that there is a soft checkpoint that would prevent one of the food delivery companies from being able to reach Mary. But that would be super cool if we could like order Mary pizza or something and just have it arrive.
Yeah. The other thing is I'm so far out of town that they really don't deliver out here.
Yeah, there's no Uber Eats or anything like that, right? It would strictly be like a pizza delivery place, or something like that, right? And then nobody was in. They'd be like, "Oh, sorry, you're not in our area."
Right. I know I've seen some come out to SpaceX, but I think they have such a large order that it's worth their time to drive out here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and so if you're wondering, the soft checkpoint and the hard checkpoint, chat, the way that works is there is it's called a soft checkpoint further up the highway, basically before you even get to the SpaceX facilities, before you even get close. And that soft checkpoint only allows through either SpaceXers or residents of the area. And that is up around the same time as the hard checkpoint that occurs right near where Mary is right now. So soft checkpoint happens, nobody can even get on the highway unless they have a reason or need to be there. And then hard checkpoint, nobody can get past. So the hard checkpoint is about 1.5 miles or 1.2 miles, something like that from the pad. And then the soft checkpoint is, I don't even know how many miles further up the road, but a significant distance further up the highway. So that's the way that works. There's actually 2 checkpoints, 2 roadblocks that prevent anybody from, sort of just wandering down here when they shouldn't be. Loic Fredericks asks, Loic, I wonder if that's how you say that name, Loek. They ask, Mary, how is SpaceX Hopper Cantina doing? Barbecue there every night? Have you seen them doing lunch there multiple times, or was it just that one time?
It was just that one time.
Man, that was so nifty.
That was neat to see. Who wouldn't want to have lunch under Starhopper?
I sure would. I mean, I'm sure you would too.
Yeah.
Super nifty. I sure hope that they end up putting Starhopper somewhere cool, and that could be a thing, because there's so many of these types of facilities in Texas and Florida. Wherever there's a rocket museum or something, there's always a rocket garden. So Starhopper, I think, would fit perfectly in a rocket garden somewhere as a sunshade somewhere there in Brownsville or Boca Chica. Let's see. A lot of people in chat saying drone, but I don't see anything. And I'm sure you would say something, Mary, if you saw something.
Sure
They're pretty
would.
audible. They're pretty audible too. I mean, you can generally
Yeah.
hear them. It's like a weed whacker flying through the air.
I have another forklift moving around here, though. It's kind of noisy where I'm at.
No worries. I mean, I heard a little bit of machinery moving, but it wasn't anything bad at all. It just sounded like you're at a construction site, which you are.
Oh, and there's a crane up.
What? How painful is it for you to be doing these streams or shooting something, and then you can notice something somewhere else on site happening? I know that was always a challenge for me when I'm there.
Yeah, it definitely is a challenge, but yeah, there's a crane.
Is it one of those like smaller yellow ones over at the build site?
Well, it's kind of like behind me where the roll lift have been sitting,
Okay.
and there was the crane weights. I think that's maybe what it's moving is the crane weights.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. The counterweights.
Yep.
We had a question from Carlo earlier about how long it would take to get Starship approved for human transportation, since SpaceX will likely be, I'm assuming at least, flying their own astronauts first, as opposed to what we saw with Crew Dragon, where SpaceX had a customer, which was NASA, flying their astronauts first. It will be mostly up to SpaceX to decide when they're ready, but the FAA will also, the FAA has to give the final approval for all commercial launch activity. So that's kind of how it works, but it should be a less bureaucratic process without having to have NASA sign off on everything for the first Starship flights. But in terms of a timeline, it really depends on how the testing goes. It's kind of impossible to predict, but probably anytime in the next. I mean, Elon would probably tell you maybe like next year or the year after, but it's a super ambitious project, and it's going to take time. There will be setbacks, but I'm sure that SpaceX will get there in the next few years.
Definitely looks like a lot more venting now compared to earlier.
Yeah, this is kind of similar to what we saw last time.
Yep.
During the test, the previous SN7 test, the venting at one point was so much that we could not even see Starship SN7, and we thought it had popped, but it turned out we were just venting. So we'll see what happens today. The wind is a bit stronger, so I'm kind of doubting the vehicle will be obscured again today, which is good, but we'll have to see what happens. But that wind is quite strong, as we can see.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the dome is frosted up significantly. Thanks, Random Tube in chat. And Peter Franklin, thank you so much for the $5 Australian, I'm guessing is what that is. We really appreciate it. Let's start a second camera fund drive for Mary to capture it all. Well, joke's on you. She has a second camera and it's running right now. So, but yes, let's continue to support Mary and what she does, and continue to get her the equipment and stuff she needs. And thank you. That $5 will go straight towards that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'd be super cool to have like when this flight testing, have like Jack in one location, because I know Jack always comes down, or usually comes down for the flight test. We'd have like Jack in one location, like at South Padre Island or something, and then Mary in another location. We could have like lots of different camera angles of the flight test, and then we could like cut between them. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a definite goal for upcoming streams, and I'm looking forward to getting back to Boca Chica. I absolutely love it there. It's like nowhere else on this planet that I've had the privilege of being. I really just love it there, so I can't wait to go back. It's definitely a challenge to be there. It's so hot. It's pretty remote. I know some people say, "Oh, Boca Chica isn't that remote." To me, and I go out to the desert a lot, it's remote. It's near civilization, but it's still remote, especially in connectivity wise. But yeah, so I can't wait to get back out there, and having two separate, feeds to cut around like that. Like I'll happily sit on South Padre with a wide angle lens. Let Mary get all the cool close up stuff, and then I'll just sit back there. I'll get like the atmosphere shot or what have you, the wide angle, and I'm just so excited to see these things fly, and I'm so excited to see multiple Raptor engines firing at once. There's so many milestones that we have coming up: bigger vehicles, more complex vehicles, more complicated and more sketchy landings. I mean, if you thought the SN4 detonation was the end of the cool things that, the intense and interesting situations that we will see out of this area, I think you're sorely mistaken. So there's a lot of interesting stuff to come, and I'm excited for what we can pull off.
Yep.
With your guys' support.
And we're all set to do that from a stream perspective. I've actually got 4 different remotes in a studio. Like I'm set up right now to bring in 8 different camera feeds. So our biggest challenge is getting boots on the ground. I mean, get a camera out
and
there.
I honestly, I would probably be there right now if it wasn't for COVID. There's very little doubt in my mind that I would be there right now if it wasn't for COVID. So, once we can safely and responsibly start traveling around the country again, I definitely start planning on doing that. So,
we got the big units, like the big nice cameras, like the D7500 or that Mary's using on a live view solo. We've got those other cameras I was testing with the Bluebirds, those Mevo starts that are sort of one-stop encoder that are a little bit wider shot, right? They're not all the zoom, but they give you the context or what's going on with the people or whatever. I can take a video feed off of a cell phone. I've got all sorts of tricks for bringing in video feeds. We actually run out of screen real estate to display them really quickly because we have so many different ways to get video for you. So
yeah, it's like I just feel like we're like Voltron. I'm betraying my age. We are like Voltron, and everybody in chat, with your viewing, with your you're watching these feeds with your super chats, with your memberships, and with your stored purchases. Now we have a store. We have a store. Psst, we have a store.
Yeah.
With all of that stuff, you are powering up the Voltron that is the NSF production team. I mean, we're attaching more pieces on. We're adding new cool gadgets and gizmos. So thank you, everybody. It's really cool to see how much we've grown and to have sort of a roadmap and an idea for how much we could grow. It's so exciting. It's really exciting, and it's nice to have something to look forward to with everything. Oh, look, it's an Endeavor shirt. Did I mention we have a merch store now?
Every now and then I can toss that on the screen.
That is probably my favorite thing in the store, is that shirt. Yeah. It's just, it looks so clean. It looks so legit. I'm going to have to buy one immediately, but I don't have money right now. But I will, and I will buy one.
There, I put a link directly to that thing in chat there. That's directly to the Endeavor thing.
Smart.
Nice. Nightbot says, get your merch here.
Yeah, right. Let's see. I saw a question I wanted to answer. Let me see if I can find it again. Dunkin' Donut, who I'm going to now officially refer to as Krispy Kreme, just to mess with them, asks, oh my gosh, I lost it again. Chat is moving so fast. I think they are still in the filling process, so no pressurization going. Last time, once tank was filled, that's not even a question, it's a statement.
It's a statement.
Time, once tank was filled,
really.
We got a large vent, then the pressure test. Did we get a large vent and then the pressure test, or was a large vent the pop? I forget how exactly that
went down.
There's
a large vent and then the pressure test.
Okay, cool. So I think the next thing we'll be looking for, right, is the valves to shut off.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to tell if it's full yet. It looks like it's mostly full, but I don't know like exactly how high to expect in the frost line to get.
Right.
We got a $9 super chat from Rick Strickland. Rick, I know, is a patron of mine. Thank you so much, Rick. You're always in my Twitter mentions, and you're always on these streams, and you've been a huge supporter of NSF and of what we do and what I do. And so thank you, Rick. I really appreciate that. They say Gwen Shotwell has said that if Starship is not flying crew, Starship in 3 years, they would consider a company failure. I believe her exact words were major company fail. So yeah, 3 years to crew flight on Starship. I think she said like 3 to 4 years based on the fact that it took them 6 years, I think, to get Crew Dragon going. The idea being that they need to get crew on this vehicle faster than they got crew on the previous vehicle, and because if they're not going faster, then they're not getting better. And SpaceX is all about going fast. But what I will say about crew on Starship in 3 years is she kind of has to say that, right? I mean, Elon's her boss. So I don't know how much she might necessarily believe that crew will be on Starship in 3 years, but that's certainly the ambitious goal. And you know, you don't get places fast without setting ambitious goals. Even if you don't reach that ambitious goal, perhaps whatever timing you make, you would not have made had you not aspired for such an aggressive timeline. So hopefully in the next, I'll say this, I'll say crew on Starship in 6 to 8 years. That's my thinking. 6 to 8 years seems painfully slow, but it also seems relatively realistic. And that's barring no major crap ups, but you never know. So yeah, that's my guess. I'm very curious what SpaceX's internal timeline looks like. That's like one of those things that I would always be dying to see is what does their internal roadmap look like? What do they think? What do they really think the schedule is going to be like? It's sort of, yeah, and Enceladus in chat says, too slow, man. I mean, yeah, I wish it was faster. I wish it was flying crew today. But I thought, let me put it this way. Starhopper did its 150-meter hop August 27th. August 27th of 2019. I thought for sure by now we would have seen higher hops. I mean, it was just like almost like a given in my brain that we would see higher hops by now. So the Starship system and this testing regime exists in a sort of a Steve Jobsian reality distortion field. I mean, it's simultaneously going at breakneck speed, but also not as fast as we might want or have expected or might have, you know, perceived it going. So that is my thinking is, yeah, it's going very fast. It's also has a long way to go and might not necessarily be going as fast as we perceive it to be or want it to be. But yeah, that's just my thinking. J Games and Tech asks, when do I think SLS will be ready? I don't. That's not even. I'm not even going to speculate there. You know how much I like speculating. I'm just going to leave that one on the table. I don't know. Hopefully soon. Ruben Gonzalez, thank you for the blank $3 super chat. Because it's blank, I get to make something up that you said. And Ruben Gonzalez says, thank you, Jack, for the super sweet labels. I really like the. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, thank you, Ruben, for the $3 super chat. Charlie just asks, so it didn't rupture still? Yep, still no rupture. We are still in the filling, venting, and waiting for rupture phase of this test. It does look pretty full right now. I agree with you there, Dougal. Colco Loco says, hi, everything is going fine. Yep, nominal. Everything's going fine so far. Looks like we are just proceeding into this test. Everything's going swimmingly.
Yeah, Jack, that ice is almost all the way up to the top of the dome.
Yeah, sure looks like it.
Yeah.
That reflection is pretty much completely gone except for a little bit at the very top. And I can't tell if it's the heat haze that's making me see this, but it almost looks like it's starting to surge.
I'm looking. I don't know.
But yeah, I think as the tank gets completely full, one of the things we can expect the vent to do is something called surging, I believe is an appropriate term, where if you think about a container, gas is coming out of the top. As the liquid gets closer to the top, some of that liquid gets pushed out along with the gas, and you would notice that as a change in what the venting looks like, and that would be called surging.
Right.
Yeah. So next we would look for surging, and then I think they would close the vents off, and then at that point the thing would be pressurizing, and then we would see some sort of extremely large vent, and then maybe a pop. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see.
I wonder if we're gonna get a like a leak like we did last time or a pop. I mean, if something ruptures down the side, right? Like if a seam splits down the side, we may get a ton of nitrogen come out of the side of that thing. But last time when it was just like a leak on the top and it started coming out of the top thing. I wonder if that was a lot less energetic because it was on the top, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And if for everybody like sort of speculating, we don't know what the pressure is right now. In the number Elon's going for, isn't that like 8.4 bar or something?
8.5.
8.5? That's like his magic number he's looking for or whatever. And they got to 7.9 last time, 7 point something. I think last time
Yeah,
he
I think that's right.
7.6.
7.6. Thank you. That's why I know he said what the number is. So they didn't quite get to what they were looking for last time before they had that little leak. But we'll see. We don't know. SpaceX doesn't give any information about this. There's not even like a radio frequency that we could try to listen in on and listen to SpaceX. This is a test that SpaceX doesn't really give any information on besides the fact that the road's closing. And then after the fact, we sometimes get some additional information from Elon after the fact. But we don't know any of those details because SpaceX does not release them.
Hey Das, what's the ISP of venting nitrogen?
The ISP of venting nitrogen, I believe it would depend on the pressure. Oh, because the pressure, you don't have a back source on the pressure, so it's not going to be a constant pressure. As soon as it starts to vent, the pressure is going to decrease. So the ISP will be constantly changing, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, I just figured out you were the guy to go for that question.
Off the top of my head, I can tell you that we do not try to make rockets using venting nitrogen as their primary propulsion. That's a coal gas thruster, basically, though. So,
yeah, good point.
Yeah.
The Shrew88 asks, "Sorry, I'm late to the party. Has it popped yet?" No, has not popped yet.
Still right there.
Still there, still going strong. Let's see. 77777 Carlo asks, NASASpaceflight, how long will it take Starship to get approved for human transportation? Since there's no escape system in case of emergency, I feel it will be...
I'm sorry, Jack.
What's up?
We already answered this one.
Oh, my bad.
No, I think what happened is it got added twice by accident. Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Dandel asks, what happens if they can't pop this? They'll try harder?
They'll Mythbusters it.
Yeah, seriously.
Where it's like, well, this myth is busted, but we got to go out with a bang, and then they're going to strap like C4 to the side of it, and then encase the C4 in liquid nitrogen, and then pour some, I don't know, gasoline on top of it. I don't know, something.
Yeah, and then shoot it with a tracer round.
Shoot it with the tracer round. Yeah, shoot it with the tracer round. I like it. Underwater.
With some thermite.
We just made all that up, y'all. They're not doing that.
Yeah, none of that's real.
None of that's real.
Peter Franklin speculates that looks like it's pretty much full, and they are just cryo-treating the welds and steel before press. So that would mean that they would be wanting to essentially, to get the data that they want and to get the test that they want, they don't want to just fill it up and do the test. They want to fill it up, let the steel actually acclimatize to the temperature, stay cold, perhaps get brittle, or maybe even this is 304L, right? So it gets stronger under cryo pressures, I think, is one of the properties of it. But basically, yeah, you don't want to just put it full of liquid and then go for the test. You want to pull it full of liquid, let the liquid sit, let the whole thing cool down, stay cool for a while, and then do the test. I mean, and wow, does it look frosty on that top dome? This thing is extremely full of liquid nitrogen, I would say. I sure hope that figure that we looked up earlier, the 158,000 gallons, it was a correct number, because that's a cool number. That's a lot of liquid nitrogen. Jan Nielsen, time for pizza. Thank you for the super chat. We really appreciate it. And Sirwan Emini, new member. Thank you for becoming a new member. You get all kinds of cool stuff. So check out the perks that you get, the little emojis and whatnot that you're going to get in chat there.
Hey, let me grab this one real quick, Jack. Infinity,
Yeah.
We appreciate you hanging out. We appreciate you hanging out. You don't have to spam us over and over again. We can't get every single question. But I thought this was a good one. If you touch it, will your hand freeze and you'll die? So if you touch the side of the tank, is that going to make your hand freeze and you're going to die? No, I don't think it's going to kill you if you touch the side of the tank. That's just ice on the side of the tank, right? So
yeah, you might stick to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
might stick to it.
No, but it's ice on the side, and I imagine that ice would It's going to be cold, but it's not any more dangerous than ice. You know, you don't want it to fall on you. You don't want to be next to the tank if there's a rupture or something like that. But that is literally just atmosphere being, or humidity being pulled out of the air and frozen to the side of the tank. It's not like that's seeping out of the tank or anything. That's just you breathe that in, and it's just forming ice on the side. So I do not believe that you would die if you touch the side of the tank due to the coldness of the ice.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a sort of like a two-part question. One, yeah,
Yeah.
you would probably stick. Two,
Yeah.
no, you probably wouldn't die. Although you might want to die based on the pain.
But Dennis, we appreciate you hanging out with us. You don't have to spam your questions. Like I said, we can't ever get to every single good question because there's so many people answering questions or asking questions and stuff. But welcome to the community, and I hope that helps you out. Don't go lick the Starship. Some more super chats came through too. Did we get those other super chats?
Go for it.
Arnold of Cody was the one we didn't get yet.
All right.
Do we know what prompted the change from single valve to double valve? I don't think we're sure. Jack, do you have any ideas? I'm not sure.
The advantages?
Yeah.
Was it the advantages? I think it's basically people in chat were saying earlier when we were talking about this that you need to vent the gaseous nitrogen in order to fill it with the liquid nitrogen because there's just some portion of the top of the tank that has gaseous nitrogen. So two vents at the top would allow you to vent that nitrogen faster and then thus load the liquid faster. Could also provide redundancy, could also provide finer control. It could also I think those were all of the speculated reasons for the double vent there. So yeah, there could be a variety of reasons. We're not really quite sure exactly what the reasoning is, but it definitely seems like with a higher energy test and with additional liquid nitrogen loading, perhaps faster, or maybe they want to unload it faster. But you know, two better than one, I think is the the baseline story there. Two more than one, two good, one okay, two better.
But Jack, why wouldn't they just make one vent to go to 11?
I don't know. Maybe I know you're joking, but I'm gonna answer your question for real, and I think it's maybe, you know, maybe it would crumple the tank, or maybe it would, you know, a single vent would. I don't know. I have no idea. I ran out of ideas.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I was kidding. It's fine.
I know. I wanted to like come back with like a really technical answer to your joke though, and I failed miserably.
But you just make one vent louder. but this one goes to 11. Yes, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for getting my movie reference there. Some people saying that a chunk of ice just saw it. Did you see the chunk of ice fall off there?
I didn't. I was doing some housekeeping on my end.
I was watching.
Let me see. You're always watching the bluebirds.
Oh, but they're so cute. Yeah, we're just hanging out, seeing what the deal.
I'm not seeing it. I'm gonna rewind like a minute. Maybe I should. Well, there's a chat delay, right? I'll rewind 2 minutes.
Yeah, let's see if we can see that. Right now, I don't have. Well, I kind of have the ability to telestrate and do a rewind. But I don't want to do it not in picture, so I'm not quite set up for that. I'm working on the ability for a remote presenter to be able to both draw on the live video screen and also rewind, like pause and rewind video. So that's more upgrades. Every time we do these streams, we're upgrading something. We're making something a little bit better. It's not like we said, we're going to spend $1 billion to make a perfect stream setup. Every time we try to bring in something new, like this stream, I don't even know if anybody noticed, but this is a stream that's running in 1080p, 60 frames per second. So previous tests, we had 30 FPS, 1080-30, and we've upgraded the tech. Actually, I literally just clicked a couple buttons, and then we said the bitrate was handling it fine, so we upgraded to 1080, 60 frames per second. So if we do,
oh my god,
something,
I had no idea. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Ah.
I was at 720 60 on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I just upped it, and look at that! Yay!
Yep.
Yeah, chat, everybody. If you haven't checked your YouTube settings there, I mean, there's a lot of heat haze. It's not really, you know, it's not going to eliminate the heat haze or anything, but seriously, 1080p 60, and that's nifty.
It should come through as full 1080p 60 HD, full HD at the top. And you can transcode it down to 720, or if you're on mobile or whatever, go lower than 724. 8360 on a cell phone looks almost the same. But yeah, that is one of our upgrades for this. We don't know that we'll use that for every stream, because the trade-off is a little bit less stability, because it requires a little bit more bandwidth to run 60 FPS instead of 30. But yeah, there you go.
So cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I mean, I'm all about 60 frames per second for stuff like this. In general, I don't like the way that it looks, like if you're just have two humans talking, but it looks kind of like weird and soap opera-y. But
Yeah.
for action, for testing, for stuff like that, where you want to be able to see every little, I mean, just imagine if we had been on 60 for the SN4 detonation and just going through frame by frame by frame to see to see that source of the ignition. Super cool. Okay, we got some super chats here. Hazardous Medic, thanks for the Canadian $7. They ask, has there been any radio signal analysis done to see if they have a local mission control channel down there? Perhaps we could get some insights. So I've gone down there with some radio equipment, and I have only ever been able to pick up something one time, and it was crane audio from when they were stacking SN1. And that was only because the crane crew on default business frequency. So surely there is a mission control frequency down there. Surely they're all over the radios down there. But there's multiple types of radio systems. There's like analog and digital. I only have the capability to listen to analog signals, and so surely SpaceX is probably on some sort of digital encrypted system that if I was even able to tune to it, it would probably just sound like basically like a modem sound, like digital noise. So yeah, exactly. There's so many times where I'm somewhere trying to snoop around, and then I pick up something and I'm like, yes, and then it's just like, I'm like, oh darn it. So it's the perils of living in a digital world.
That's
I haven't been able to.
more venting, Jack. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So big
Sorry,
vent.
I interrupted you, but that was a big plume that started coming out.
No, you're allowed to interrupt. So look at that. We are heading into, hopefully now, a cryopress test where the vehicle will be full of liquid nitrogen. It sure looks full. There's no longer any sort of shiny spot at the top of the tank there. So it should be fairly close to doing its thing with any luck. Yeah, and I see Ben Govero in chat saying 11:42. It will go boom. If you guys want to comment in chat what time you think it's going to go boom. There is no contest today because I still haven't gotten around to sending out the prints to the winners from the last one. But if you want to comment, the winner will get, I don't know, I'll say your name and say congratulations, you got it on stream.
Your name.
Yeah, I do want to do more contests and whatnot, but I've been super busy lately and I haven't gotten the previous prints out, and I'm not gonna add more to my pile of to do right now. But
yeah,
the two winners from the previous one are still gonna get their awards, and the winner from today will get bragging rights, we'll say.
Nice.
And in the future, we'll do some more fun stuff like that because I enjoyed it. I don't care if anybody else liked it. I did.
Yeah. Oh, good deal. This is cool.
So yeah, if you're just joining us, we are looking at a test tank. It's SN7. Oh, look at that ninja skill right there. It is the SN7 test tank. It is the second or third such tank that SpaceX has made. It is basically a Pathfinder article. They're going to use it to determine the properties of a new type of steel, 304L, versus the 300 steel that they were previously using. And they are going to essentially pressurize it to failure. And that will allow them to determine if the properties of this steel are advantageous and what they're expecting, and if they match whatever computer models that they have built. Also, there's, I believe, in addition to the new steel, there's new manufacturing techniques that have been used on this tank. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Was that something from the side and behind?
It looked like it came out the back or the side or something, but I don't know. That is definitely some active venting coming from the top of that tank right there.
Yeah, it looks like we could have seen another soft failure like we did on the last test, where there was a sort of a weak point, like Elon mentioned on Twitter. And I bet you that's what it is. It looks like it let go from another weak point, but it's hard to say now.
It may be on the far side of the camera, and then I can't tell if this is maybe just the wind in the lee of the thing sort of giving some turbulence that's sucking that down.
I think that sure looks like a pop. Well, I shouldn't say a pop, but it looks like it failed in a weak point again.
Yeah. I don't know. Mary, do we have Mary on comms? Did you see anything? Can you hear anything that we didn't hear? Or it looks like her mic may be muted right now. Huh.
Yeah,
But it
that
might just be
definitely
venting. Because we didn't
it
see
could
something
have
like this before on the previous test.
We
it
did?
could be a giant vent,
Can you
but I mean, it sure looks like I mean, Das,
can you
I
hear
get
me
what you're
now?
saying. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you, Mary.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
So yeah, but sure looks like it leaked.
Something's happening there. I mean, it's coming all the way
Wow.
down the side of the thing. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a betting person, I would say leak, but it might. I mean, this could be a very, very, very large vent. They do have two, um, they have that new vent system on the top there, and so this could just be a product of being able to vent extremely rapidly, extremely large amounts. But I mean, again, if I was a betting person, I would say that we have seen this thing let go at a weak point again. But
Wow.
but Das, you're right. I get what you're saying about the wind potentially, pulling some of the condensation there into the leeward side, the
Yeah.
the side that's kind of shadowed from the wind, and then there's sort of a vortex that happens there that pulls it down, and it's almost like an aerofoil.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's unclear whether that's just the venting coming off of the. Wow, you can see condensation coming off the top dome. Look at that.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
mean,
just venting.
you think it's just venting and it's sort of getting caught in the wind vortex on the backside of the tank?
Yeah, well, I mean, based on the previous test, we saw the vehicle completely covered, obscured by the venting when they
Yeah.
started doing a lot right before they pressure tested the failure last time. And we thought it was a leak. And this time, I think it's still just venting. And it looks like now we're
Is it
seeing
surging?
slightly less. Yeah, look, it's
Oh, there
now
you go. Let's
have they
see what it
stopped
does.
venting? I think they stopped venting. It
Yep,
says
sure
The
enough.
entire
condensation.
top of the tank is condensing now. I'm going to use the term condensing because the entire top looks like it's smoking, right? Vapory.
Yeah, the entire tank would be now full of liquid nitrogen. The valves are closed, and they are pressurizing the tank ahead of the cryopressure test. So I'm a betting man, and I lost my previous bet saying that that large vent that we just saw was in fact the failure. So hopefully we see a destructive test here, and they get all the delicious, tasty data that they're hoping for.
Yeah.
And
So
basically, at this point, the vehicle is essentially like almost like a bomb. It's just it's a container, and the liquid inside of it, the liquid nitrogen, will heat up, will pressurize the container, and will look for the path of least resistance to exit the container. And
yeah.
that path of least resistance will inform SpaceX's processes going forward, both materially and just how they put these things together.
And I'm pretty sure those vents are closed now on the top,
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah, it looks like it's closed off now, and like I said, it's basically like a bomb. It's like
Yeah, there was a chunk of ice that just fell off.
it's like dry ice in a bottle of water, or any kind of firework. So
Yeah. So I wonder if this is what would happen, right? Imagine you're filling up a bottle of, like a 3-liter bottle or something, and you're putting water back into it. And you're filling it up and filling it up and filling it up, and just gas is coming out the top because the air is coming out, right?
Yes.
Until the water that you're filling it up with gets to the very top, and all of a sudden it comes out like crazy because
Yes.
it's easy for it to get the gas out, but it's once the liquid starts to come out, it's like sort of splurts out, whatever you want to call it, right? I
Yeah.
wonder if that's what we saw. I wonder if we saw this liquid nitrogen level getting all the way up to the valve, and then that massive amount that came out might have been liquid nitrogen coming out. And then all of a sudden it gases out a lot faster when it's a liquid as opposed to just the escaping gaseous version.
And just quickly, Mary, if you can hear us, you can start recording on the stream camera if you're not already.
Awesome.
I have it recording.
Okay,
Good deal.
perfect.
I'm so excited to cut 1080p 60
Yeah.
of this. I'm so excited. I'm such a dork, but no, it's gonna look awesome. So I'm glad. I know Mary and Michael and everybody, Brady. Thank you. Shout out to Brady Keniston, awesome NASA spaceflight photographer. I know
Yeah.
you guys were all working on that in chat yesterday for a little while. So thank you for putting in the time on there.
Yeah. So right now, I think the only vapors we see coming off the top are like contact vapors. And
Yeah,
maybe
I agree.
maybe that had some liquid nitrogen sort of spill over the top of the tank, and this is just it's not a valve that's open. It's not a vent
Lots of
letting gas out.
lots of ice coming off of it. I wonder if
Yeah.
that's from the tank walls itself are flexing, and that's causing ice to break off.
That's a great point, actually, Jack. That it could be that thing is
And
starting
there
to.
it goes.
Oh, whoa! Oh, wow.
To
Wow.
failure.
Okay. And there you
Mary,
have it.
what did that
Well, that
sound
was
like,
more
Mary?
exciting than last time.
I didn't hear anything, so
Wow.
all very quiet.
Did y'all see SN7 sort of skirt off? It looked like it was floating
Yeah.
off to the side. The entire tank moved to the left.
2 meter hop? 2 meter
2-meter
hop confirmed.
So much for the ratcheting strap tie downs, huh?
I guess we should have been expecting a hop today.
Wow. So who
That
had
was
1136?
Yeah, somebody had 1130. Closest without going over. Look at that. It got a significant, I'm rewinding now. It got a good amount of height.
It did. Okay, I'll set up so I can do a replay too. That's
Yeah,
crazy, y'all.
we got a replay coming in here, chat.
Let's see what happens, what it looks like when this condensation liquid nitrogen finally clears.
Yeah. And Das, if we can, when you do the replay, you've probably already thought of this. Let's watch the replay and then let's go through it frame by frame because I'm
Oh, yeah,
addicted to that frame by frame. That was really cool.
I'm on it. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. I'm cheating, but SN7 went like 2 SN7 widths to the left.
Yeah. I
Let
wonder
me,
how many SN7 heights did it go up?
Not very many. It actually looked like a melting piece of butter. Let me get this here so I can show it to you.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm gonna get I need to do the presentation layer. Just 1 second here.
A melting piece of butter is startlingly accurate.
So I'm just gonna do it picture in picture so we can watch this sort of clear up. That's a lot of nitrogen out there. And let's turn on that source really quickly.
I want to say it got about 10 meters high.
Let's watch. Let's roll back the tape.
The vehicle is what, 10 meters, right? Or 20 meters.
Yeah. Let me,
The vehicle I think it went about half itself high.
So I'm uncropping and we'll leave there, but here's the whole thing. Sorry, y'all, I'm doing this live, okay? I'm not like setting it up before. So we'll just crop the video down to that. And here is the replay of what we just saw, okay? The replay of what we just saw. And look at the valves.
Just sort of look at the valves. They go up. There's a distinct upwards and diagonally to the left motion.
So
I'm going to say that's a 10-meter hop.
Big failure, gets a little bit of room, and then leans over. Definitely fell on its side there, though. And then there's something in the wreckage there. We'll go through frame by frame and have a look. But there it lets go. There it skates over to the left. And then something is in the wreckage. It sort of looks like the Loch Ness Boca Chica monster there. Let me just slow-mo here and see what we got. So I got to go right before it happens. Okay, and then 1 frame at a time.
Wait, Das, can you pull away the replay?
Absolutely, yes. You're right. There's something in the background to see. Thank you. Look at that. It's starting to clear up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can see it. You can just barely see it. And it looks like the whole transport stand or whatever you want to call that whole test stand sort of leaned over along with SN. So maybe it didn't actually hop.
You can see the flare stack now.
The flare stack, yeah.
You can see
so the whole entire stand moved with it.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Look here, I can I'll make it a little bit smaller so we can see both and we can have a before and after. But there it was before. And look at the tower position, right?
Yeah, you can see the flare stack in front of SN4 there, that vertical line that's obscuring part of the frost on the slightly right side of the vehicle there. And now it's significantly off to the side of where the vehicle is.
God.
It took the stand. It took the stand with it for the.
It was like surfing or something. That's surprising that stand moved. I mean, was that stand just sitting on a concrete pad or was it bolted down or what?
It must have just been sitting there, right?
It must have
They had it tied down to large concrete blocks, I think, right, Mary?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So it was tied down. So it had a lot of.
I don't
wonder-
know that those ratcheting tie straps are designed to deal with cryogenic pressures. Like I think that webbing, if you hit that webbing that those tie down straps are normally with, if you hit those cryo things like liquid nitrogen or something like that, I think they'd be brittle and they just.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
It
does seem like they stayed intact though and took the stand with it. I think SN7 was attached to the stand, and the stand was attached to some weights, but not actually to the ground.
Yeah.
So I think it acted as the legs for SN7.
It also looks like the stand. I don't know if that's just a perspective thing, but the stand looks like it might be bent slightly. Do you see how it's curved? And in the before picture, I don't see those curves. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think you might be right, but it's hard to tell. That was awesome.
It was. Here, I'm gonna do the replay one more time, then we can go through frame by frame. So this is the replay again. In just all directions too. It wasn't a leak in one direction. It was just a wave of liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, I can't wait till Mary's able to get down once the road's open, so we can see where this thing failed.
Yeah, Jack, and everybody, I'll tell you that would have been a dangerous place to be when that let loose. You know why?
Oh, because nitrogen displaces oxygen,
Exactly.
so you would be breathing only nitrogen, and that's very bad. Hopefully, any kind of birds or bugs or little creature guys in that area got out. I don't know. That's nitrogen displaces oxygen. There is no oxygen in that cloud. It's just nitrogen. So you wouldn't want to be breathing that. Even though 70% of the air we breathe is nitrogen, you need oxygen also. Oxygen good.
I'm going down to a quarter speed here. So I'm going to do the playback in quarter speed, okay?
Yep.
This is 1/4 speed. And I can also bring this up. We'll let that, once it clears out a little bit more, I'll bring the playback to full screen so we can see it. But look at that. The bottom.
Yep.
It looked like the bottom well dropped out. Did you see that?
Yep, which is exactly would make sense why it went up into the left, is because it had a thrust from the bottom and from the right side. So equal and opposite reaction. It went up and to the left, up and to the left, up and to the left,
up
and to the left. Super cool.
Oh, dude, let's go to the frame by frame, shall we? Let's see here. So right in here, look at that, Jack.
Yeah. Wow. It looks exactly like where that bottom dome meets the barrel section.
Yep. It actually looks like the bottom left of the tank, like down by the skirt, disconnected, and that's why it started to go in that direction. Watch this. I'm gonna step through it frame by frame.
Can you make the replay a little bit bigger?
Oh, sure I can. Yeah.
Honestly, just full screen it. Whether I don't think anyone's gonna come.
Yeah, I can do that real quick.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep throwing you curveballs here. Can you make it spin around while you full screen? It needs to animate to full screen.
Here, I'm just gonna full screen it like this real quick.
Yeah.
So this is the full screen replay. And this is quarter speed. Let's run it full screen quarter speed here.
Yep. I'm so glad we had 60 FPS on this
one. Oh yeah.
So cool.
Wow.
Look at that.
That was totally worth it.
Look at that right there.
Look at the liquid nitrogen coming over the berm. It got a little bit of air. Wow. I'm all about the 60 frames a second right now. This is awesome.
Yeah. You know what else I can do, Jack? Stand by. Hang on. I gotta do this, and I gotta come over here. Again, this is a replay, y'all. A test of failure SN7 down at Boca Chica. This is a replay of what we just saw. So look, Jack. Oops. Yep. Just 1 second. Stand by. Let's do this slow motion replay again while I work on an issue here.
Wow.
That's so smooth.
It makes me so happy. Up and to the left. But yeah, if you watch the two little black dots on top, those are the vents there, and you can basically see exactly how and where it moves. And I can already tell you.
Yeah,
I'm going to track a label onto this.
This is the live video. I just have to resolve a telestration issue on my end. Stand by.
Yeah, resolve away. So this is a live feed. We're back to a live feed chat. This is what the site looks like currently. We were just looking at a replay. So yeah, there you go. That is the remains of SN7. It has successfully been tested to destruction, and SpaceX surely has a lot of awesome data. Wow, and so that as that nitrogen continues to clear out, we're getting a better and better view. It looks like maybe the vehicle itself is still venting nitrogen just from various places. I can't tell if it's the top vent or if it's just near it, but it's nice that we're starting to get a better and better view of what's going on.
Yeah. All right, Jack, now I'm good. Y'all check this out. Here we go. This is what I was working on. So let's switch back over. This is back to the replay again, okay? Back to the replay here. There's our replay. And let's go ahead and bring this back just a hair like this. All right, so here's what I can do, y'all. There.
Yep.
There you go. There's where it's supposed to be. Got a little stand.
Oh, awesome.
V's. There's the top of it, the valves, little antenna looking thingies. All right, so that's where it started, okay? That's where it started. And then here is the replay of where it ended up. There's the leak. It actually drops down a little bit, and then it starts to go to the left. It got about a dome height, I think. If I had to guess, I think it got about a dome height there.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
What do y'all think, chat? Dome height? I guess we could do this, huh? I guess we could come back over here and wait a second. Can I trace it in real time? I can actually.
RGP in chat says, "Do you think we'll be seeing Zeus?"
I don't know.
That's in case you don't know, guys. SpaceX got 2 Boston Dynamics. What do you call them? I guess robo-dogs, dog bots.
Yeah, the dog bots. Dog bots.
Yeah, they got 2 dog bots that they're going to use to presumably do checkouts of the pad after an event like this. So maybe we'll see it out and about.
So Jack, I tried to trace the vents on the top. I started, and then as the video played, I traced the path of them very poorly, but you know.
Yeah, I can. I see.
That's about the path that it went. So it was about the height of the dome that it went up. So if we know the height of the dome, we can say how big that hop was. And to the left.
I think the dome is about into the left. I think it's about 2 rings, right? So whatever a ring is, it's about 2 rings. If I'm not.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go back to the frame by frame one more time, and we'll step through it. But that is definitely, it looks like the initial failure. Y'all watch right here. I think the initial failure happened right in here. And that's why if we started to have pressurized liquid nitrogen coming out this way, that's why we got a little bit of motion like this, right? I think that's where that failure started. But let's do the frame by frame. If I can get it to do the frame by frame for me. There we go. Got to click on the window correctly. So there's some wavering. That's the GSE, I think. How many frames back? Oh yeah, it's 60 frames per second. So now I have to go back. I have to do twice as many frames if I go. Oh, 2 seconds.
You're like, why aren't I there yet?
Yeah. Look at that. It's right there. There's the rupture. Yep. It's Bam. All along that seam.
Yeah, that entire bottom dome let go, it looks like.
Yep. I don't know if y'all agree with me on this or not, but I see a change from right here all the way around the side here is what I'm seeing
definitely.
in that frame.
I agree.
There's no way for me to get, I guess that'll get me focused back. Yeah. And it may go around the back where we can't see it, right? It may actually turn that right-hand side of the tank. But that right there is exactly where it failed. And then...
That's like the same area where those vertical, like, bacon strip, like, stringer things are, right? Like...
Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
Wait a second. No. It's further back, I think. I think there's some stuff coming out of the bottom of the tank here.
Oh,
right?
no kidding.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right there. Look at that big difference before we see the seam.
Yeah,
You
you're right. Look at that. Yeah, look
Right
at that.
there.
Good catch.
So this is where it became really obvious. A couple frames later. But before that, we get a bunch of, y'all see what I'm doing? It actually starts to occlude this one support right in this area. Watch that. That's what I'm seeing. Click, click. Yeah, wow. Right there. And it actually hits the ground. Look at that. And then you see that top seam also start to unzip. Literally looks like a zipper going.
Yeah, it really does. Wow. That's great. I mean, this is exactly the kind of test and data that they were looking to perform. So, not a bad thing that this happened.
Yep. Wow. I'm just continuing. There you can see, I'm going to call that maybe a haze artifact. It actually looked like the tank started to wub a little bit, but I don't know if that's the atmosphere. It
It's a
literally
technical
did.
term.
Look, hang on. Let me see if I can get back to it. Yeah, right in this area. Watch right in here, okay?
Yeah, I mean, even if you just look at the bottom, it looks like it's expanding out. It's almost like it's slightly conical.
Yeah. Wub. See that? I don't know if that's atmospheric haze or not, though.
SN7 waiting for the drop.
It could very well be that tank flexing as the energy is released in the other side, and it almost travels in a wave across the tank.
Yeah.
Look at that.
What a cool failure. I mean, the thing got some air.
You did. It almost feels like it pole vaulted a little bit, like it used the legs of the stand on the left-hand side, and it sort of pole vaulted on those legs a little bit to get some of that air.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a stick of melting butter. You know, you get a big piece of butter, you put it in the frying pan, and it like slides across as it gets smaller. That's what it looked like. Wow.
Don Torallo, thanks for the super chat. They say, just joined in. Did it pop? It sure did.
Definitely pop.
We're currently going through frame by frame and just watching the aftermath of this thing. Let's see.
Yeah. And there it all goes all the way down in there. So let's switch back to the live view just really quickly. That's what it looks like now. That's what it looks like now. And in fact, since we got the replay full screen, we can do a before and after right like this. So here's before and here's after. Before.
Nice.
After. Oh, it's all melted too. Look, the tank is shiny again.
Oh yeah, look at that. The Texas sun does its job.
Yep.
All right, let's do some housekeeping here.
Go
We have
for it.
we have a $5 super chat from Nova CST. I don't know how to Novak Sturfin. Okay, sorry. Keep up the good work. You guys and gals are awesome. Thank you for the super chat. Your support means we can do things like up this feed to 1080-60.
That's true.
And Zykesep says, thanks for the awesome labels. Any plans on getting them animated for the live stream? That would be awesome. That'll require a little bit more work. But yeah, I'm working on labels and animation, and that stuff will only improve.
Yeah, I can definitely work on something that can make us be able to dynamically display Jack's labels and label different things live. And that's something I think would definitely be worth the time. It's just going to be a bit of work, but I'll make it happen.
Yep. Hey, check this out, y'all. I got a trick.
Woo! Oh man, are you gonna do what I think you're gonna do? Look at that!
That was very, you kept snapping to the edge, but I need to practice
That's
that.
great.
I need to practice that.
That's really great.
Here, let's try it one more time. Oh, I need to crop it so it's not doing that, so I can drag it cleanly. So this is the replay. Up and to the left. Jack, I love the labels. They're so well done. Thank you so much for adding those to the stream.
Yeah, no sweat. Rick Axline, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Farm Rick, thank you for the 5 curly L's.
The five.
And let's see, Dan Vitale, thanks for the 2 curly L's. Start a campaign to call SN7 Star Popper. I mean, we already had Star Poppers. I kind of like Hop Popper. I don't know.
Hot popper.
We'll surely come up with something.
I'm gonna go down
but
and take a camera to my stove and film some melting butter.
there you go. Dougal
Like, who did it
says,
better?
thanks for the awesome upgrades. Keep it up. Thank you, Dougal.
Absolutely.
And then let's see. Sean Karen said $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Sean. Think of all the frozen bananas we could be making right now. There's always nitrogen in the serial number tank. No, there's always money in the banana stand. I don't know. I got nothing. Let's see. Do the vent valves on top have a limit? Urban Spaceman asks with a $5 super chat. Well, if they did have a limit, it's no more now. Sorry, it must have been a little while ago. We got into it while testing got the pace of testing increased there for a little bit. So sorry for missing that. We don't know what the limit is. Surely they have a limit, but yeah, now those vents have done their job. They'll probably be salvageable, I'm guessing, and we'll see them potentially on the next test tank. And then we got John Kraus.
Oh, geez.
No, he didn't pull his classic joke, but he gave us $5. Thank you so much, John.
Yeah, thanks,
He
John.
said, "Take my currency in exchange for your continued production of valuable content." And
Oh,
that's what it's all about. And thank you so much, John. We super duper extra appreciate that. And that is exactly what we will take your money and continue to do with it. So seriously, thanks.
yep.
And keep up the good work documenting spaceflight there in Florida. We really appreciate your awesome content. And Jonathan Trantham, new member. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for becoming a new member. I don't know what level you joined in at. I'm trying to find out as I stall for time and I can't. But thanks for becoming a new member. Depending on what level you joined in at, you can get different perks. You get emojis for the Discord. You get mentioned on the stream for certain levels at the end of NSF Live. You get into our Discord there if you're launch director and above. So yeah, all kinds of perks for the members. Thank you for the membership. We really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, cool.
Yeah,
I think
so
we really got some tweets and stuff with this, right? Didn't we?
Yeah.
Let me go see if I can find those real quick.
Eric Berger says SN7 is now in rocket heaven, which I would agree. It is in rocket heaven because it in fact took flight. So it has made its way to rocket heaven and has earned its place. That's quite respectable. Congratulations, SN7. Rest in peace.
Yeah. I'm grabbing let's see, I'm trying to find the Very Vinty and Frosty. Does anybody have a link to our tweet of the actual slide? We call it the slide.
Yeah, that was a power slide, that's for sure.
Power slide, nice. Maybe in social media. Let me go.
It's got 172 retweets right now. I'm posting it in Control Center for you.
Yeah,
there
cool.
You go.
Excellent.
Fast and the Furious, serial number 7 drift.
Yeah, so here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and post that link to that tweet if you want to see the Twitter version of this and replay it yourself. You can always do it on the stream here, but don't forget to like and subscribe on Twitter or whatever. That right there is NASASpaceflight actual right there. Chris B, who was on the stream with us earlier, and that is a link to that failure over there on Twitter. So I'm talking apparently. That's got my audio on there. All right. So did y'all notice we had a little bit of because of the stream delay from the uplink, but we have real-time comms from Mary. We had a little bit of a cheat ability there. We heard Mary say, "There it goes," before we actually saw it go. Did anybody else notice that?
Yeah, that was honestly that was awesome.
That's happened before too.
Yeah.
I really like it, honestly. Like it's It's just she's so stoic. It's just like there it goes. Oh no! Oh god!
Yeah, you okay? Wait, Jack?
Jack hurt himself.
He muted his mic, maybe. His mic is muted. We'll stand by.
Sorry.
Okay.
I knocked a bunch of stuff over.
And apparently they're saying the Boston Dynamics dog is walking around in the nitrogen cloud. I don't know, Mary, if you can see that through your binoculars or anything like that, but
All right, the set of Jenga blocks that is the stuff on my desk is safe again. Thanks for your concern, guys.
nobody was crushed or anything.
No.
Oh, that was cool, y'all. I wasn't expecting that to happen. I thought we were gonna get a rupture down the side and it was gonna stay in place or something like that, you know?
Yeah, that was about as dramatic as we could hope for. That was super neat.
Yeah. I don't think that Zeus on the left, the yellow thing on the left is no, that's not how big that dog is. That dog is actually
No, I think
pretty small.
people are saying they can see it on other stream.
Yeah.
Which everybody in chat, we know there's other streams.
Yeah, it's all good. It's fine. We do Mystery Starship Theater 3000 over here. Some people have cameras in other positions. It's all good. It's cool to have a lot of different ways to see this stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to have all the different angles, everyone out there covering it. But it's just I find it funny, like everyone in chat constantly telling us that there's other streams. It's like, yeah, we know.
It's all good.
We're well aware.
I'm looking very hard at the pixels in the middle to see if I can spot motion in there, you know, like the robot dog emerging from the nitrogen cloud or something.
Gosh, that would look so cool.
I'm really curious. I'm really curious how any plant life that was within that area would be affected. Like, I wonder if that was cold enough to freeze and crack any plants around there. That would be really cool just to find out. I don't know if anybody from SpaceX watches these things, but I would really be curious if there was any plant life around there that showed any signs of what is it called? Like if you freeze lettuce and then when it unfreezes, it's all limp because the cells are exploded. The water expands and it breaks the cells, and then when it unfreezes, everything's all, I don't know what the right terminology is. Somebody in chat will know. But
Yeah,
I'd be curious.
One of the like a flashbulb memory that I have is I was very little. I went to a science center in near where I lived, and we went to a demonstration on I think it was just a demonstration on liquid nitrogen, and the presenter doing the demo, took a rose and put it in the liquid nitrogen, and then took it out and then shattered the rose, and everyone was like ooh and ah, and then the presenter just very didn't telegraph it at all, which props to them. At least didn't telegraph it to little old me. I mean, maybe if I was an adult at the time, I would have figured it out. But basically, did the rose and then immediately stuck their gloved hand, into the dewar, pulled it out, and then hit their hand with a 2x4, and it shattered. And it was, obviously a fake hand.
A glove,
but it was, yeah, exactly. It was like a really, really, really good gag, and I will never forget that as long as I live. And it's just like, yeah, don't stick your hand in liquid nitrogen. It's bad. It's very cold. I do wonder, like, is there just a bunch of shattered grass around there, or like shattered plants and stuff?
I know it's a lot of dirt and stuff in the area, right? But that was also a lot of liquid nitrogen that came out of there. So it only, not sublimate because it's going from a liquid. It only boils off is technically what the liquid nitrogen was doing very rapidly. When it lost that pressure, its boiling point would have changed and just boiled out. And so I know that it's a bunch of rock and dirt and caliche or whatever around there. I know there's not a lot of grass, but maybe there's just one little flower that got frozen or something,
The Frost and the Furious. That's way better than the one that I came up with. Now I'm just mad.
Frost and the Furious.
Frost and the Furious, SN7 Drift.
Oh, and I'm still looking there and seeing if I see any indication of the dog prancing around, but
yeah, I've seen chat say that he's in front of the excavator, or that it's in front of the flare stack. I mean, I can't really see anything. So
yeah, that atmospheric haze is just rough. But again, we have a live camera operator. We always want Mary to be at a safe distance, so we're like 1.4, 1.5 miles away right now, if she's in the spot that I remember. So that's just between there and here.
Any closer, it would have to be a robotic camera, and that's not what we do. So
Ah, that's cool. Who let the dogs out? Thank you, Fredericks. Thank you. Some people asking about what the pressure was. I haven't seen a tweet or anything like that on the official pressure or anything, right? We haven't seen a tweet from Elon or
No.
anything.
I haven't. I'm sure as soon as we do, one of us will see it and let everyone know.
Yeah.
I still can't believe how much air that tank got. I mean, it went up far more than I expected.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh, and look, Michael Baylor tweeted this as well. Michael actually took a clip of the illustration, me drawing and then showing how far it moved. So, Michael, thanks for that. I just posted that tweet into chat as well. If you'll want to see that replay with my
Honestly, that was super cool.
yeah, mind
That
blowing.
was like, it's a really, really great use of the telestration.
Oh, the telestration is so cool, Jack. I'm working on making it so that anybody can do that. It'll be best if you have a tablet or something, but I have tricks up my sleeve. I have tricks up my sleeve where you could have like an iPad on your desk and you could draw on the iPad and it would appear on the screen. I'm working on it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to you and watching this right now on an iPad Pro with a
Yep.
pencil, so I could just pull the pencil right off the. I mean, it's in my hands right now. Bam! Now it's back on the iPad.
There you
Bam.
go.
Like,
Yep.
I could very easily do that. That would be awesome. Yay,
Oh,
improvements.
Todd's
like-
gonna give me a reason to spend $129 on the Apple Pencil for my iPad.
I mean, I am not an illustrator, but I still find significant utility with the pencil. It's just nice to use sometimes too, instead of poking at the screen with your meat hands. So
Yep. Yep. That's so when I'm doing the telestration on this end, I've got a Cintiq 13 HD, like a Wacom drawing tablet. And so it's a little bit easier for me because I can draw on the video. I can actually see the video as I'm drawing. So the thing I'm trying to do on the tablet is the same thing where you would be able to see the video and draw on it, you know?
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah. We're always trying to level it up with NASA spaceflight, since we've got people that are all over the world, really. It's not just all over the US, it's all over the world. We really want to enable all of our creators and hosts and stuff like that to be able to do all this cool stuff. We got a lot of tricks in our bag, though. I have so much fun figuring out tricks. Elon's dog is frolicking in the snow. Sean Ring, thanks for the $2 super chat there. Appreciate you.
Oh, and chat, if you are wanting to go back, if you're just coming in, and you're wondering when the pop happened, look at the clock in the top left. It's at 11:37 is when it happened.
Yeah.
Did we figure out who got close without going over?
I'm
Guess the
checking.
timing.
I didn't know. I didn't see that.
I'm checking. I have all the data we need.
Michael's like, I am a data machine.
What? Fredericks,
Thank
wait.
you for.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying thank you, Michael, for having that all set up. I like having that little bit of interactivity where some of the chat can sort of interact with us and make a guess, and we can have a little bit of a contest with it and have some fun. That's always I really like it. So
Yeah.
thanks for doing that.
Look at this. Fredericks over here. Frederick says another piece of scrap metal for the SpaceX junkyard. You mean more components for the limited edition 304L Cybertruck?
Yeah, you thought the Starship Cybertruck was going to be expensive. The 304L Cybertruck. Oh man, that's like a whole nother add-on option above.
And there's very little venting happening now. I keep looking for the dog. We're gonna have to take the P1000 out there at some point. It would be hazy as all get out, but
hashtag dog watch.
hashtag dog watch. I mean, y'all know that I could take a video feed from one of those dogs and we could pipe it into the stream. I want a dog with a solo backpack on and a camera.
That would be awesome.
Well, those dogs only cost $70,000 for the base model, so
only 75,000. Nice.
Yeah, chat, get on it. I'm kidding. We'll buy anamorphic glass before we buy a dog.
Have y'all?
And we'll do neither.
Have y'all seen the DJI RoboMaster S1? The little robot that DJI sells. It's like a robotic drone, but you can teleoperate it. You control it with mouse and keyboard, like ASDW mouse and keyboard, and it's got a gimbal with a camera and everything on top. I've got that. I can take the live camera off that and I can feed it into the stream. But it's got forklift wheels on it called Mechanism wheels that allow it to strafe side to side, so I can't send it on the road or on the sand or anything.
That's super cool though. Wow.
I need like balloon tires on it because this thing will run for an hour on its battery, and we could drive it You know, we just need a bigger version of this.
So we do have winners.
Oh, we do. Go ahead.
I don't know how to pronounce your username, but DIRAKT said 11:37 at 4:30 UTC, which would be 11:30 Boca time. So that was 7 minutes before the pop. And at the same seconds later, Dave Fisher also said 11:30, but DIRAKT, excuse me, was the first one. So
Who was the second one? Dave Fisher?
yep.
All right, Dave Fisher and Durkat. Good job, y'all. You nailed the time. If this was
Durkat.
Price is
I
Right,
don't know.
you'd be going on to the what is it, the showcase or whatever, showdown showcase or whatever it is. It's been a while since I've watched Price is Right, unfortunately.
So you've won Jack saying your name. Jack, give them their prize.
Durkat, good job winning, and Dave Fisher, good job winning.
Congratulations. Record that. Play it back for your friends. You can say,
Yeah, that can be your new ringtone.
your new ringtone. Nice.
What was that? Was that Mary that I just heard?
She was talking about her audio dropping out. We are shipping that big vehicle modem down to Mary, and we may at some point be moving more stuff to it. But it looks like Mary's reporting that the camera looks like it may be overheating right now. So we may be coming up on the end of needing to shut down the live stream, I think.
All right. Oh wait, chat saying dog is visible.
On our stream though, or nope? It looks like we may have just lost the live feed.
Oh yeah, it just died.
Yeah,
Well,
camera overheated.
This is good to know for the future because
yes,
That's
we
what.
just lost the live feed. Stand by.
That's what. I guess that's what 1080 60 frames a second will do.
that's probably the difference because we have not had this happen before. You're right, Jack.
Aha.
And that makes sense why we haven't had any overheating issues with our previous settings, because the camera is basically doing way less work than it is designed to.
And Mary
now
was also recording.
Yeah.
Oh,
She had been
okay.
recording before.
Okay, I bet you that's what it was. Specifically, the recording to the card is
Yep.
what did it, I bet.
Yep.
Well, this, everyone, is why we try new settings on minor tank tests, not the Starship 150-meter test flight.
Yeah, we're like in the middle of a stream and someone's like, change the settings, and it's like, that's not how this works. Sorry, guys. And
Yeah.
Jade Y in chat says, this is why we test, which is a space idiom that I detest. But yep, this is why we test.
Yeah, so y'all, this is the replay screen on. That's why SN7 is back to its original position. But this is the replay one more time of what happened earlier today. I'm actually just going to keep replaying this, y'all, until we shut down the stream so we have the video here, because our camera out there has overheated. We were doing new things with it, 60 FPS, local recording, all that sort of stuff, and the camera was not happy. Made it through the test and everything, and this is now a replay of what happened just a little bit ago. But I think we're going to need to do an outro here, right, y'all?
Yeah, Mary's out there in the heat anyways, and the action's over. So it makes sense to wind it down.
Yep.
And also, we need to get Mary back into the air conditioning so she can cool off, grab a cold one if that's what she desires, and upload the source video.
Yeah, I can't wait to get at it.
Yeah, the raw footage. So, Jack, you're probably going to bring this into a little bit of a highlight reel or something, right?
Yep, I'll make a little cut of it like I do, and probably throw a little member preview in the YouTube there for all of our fancy YouTube members that want to see it immediately. And then in seriously like 5 to 10 minutes after it's up for the YouTube members, it'll be up on the stream. They'll just get sort of a little quickie, advanced look as I edit it. That's like something we like to do every now and then. So
Right.
yep, we'll get the raw up as soon as possible, and everyone can sort of drool over that ASAP.
I put it back into slow-mo mode so I can do one more.
Yeah, I see you hitting the back.
I know. I thought I had it right, but apparently that's not.
Is there a thing?
Right spot.
I know in Premiere, if you hit Shift and then the modifier, it'll go like super, like 10 or instead of 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe try that. I don't know. Sometimes there's like crossover between this software.
Yeah. Wow, what is this? Is like super slow-mo or not even doing anything. Oh, this isn't even the pop. This is me telestrating it, silly DOS. There's the pop over here. Anyways, y'all, I think we are shutting it down here, right, y'all? So We appreciate everybody joining us for the successful test to failure of SN7 here today down at Boca Chica. Let's go around the horn real quick. Introduce yourself so people put a name to a sound, I guess, the sound of your voice. Jack, go ahead.
Yep, I'm Jack Beyer. I'm the Jack Beyer on Twitter. I'm a photographer, videographer, editor, pretty much man of many talents for NASA Spaceflight. And thanks for watching today. Thanks for your support. And on to the next one.
Absolutely. Michael, you still there?
Yes, I am. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for all the super chats and new memberships. We appreciate the support. And hopefully SN5 testing will be beginning in the next couple of days or so.
Yeah. And then, as always, out there, we've got Mary, Boca Chica gal. I don't know if we have her on comms right now or not. Mary, are you on comms?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
You can? Okay.
So, Mary, thank you so much for being out there, braving the heat and standing by for that test through the hot part of the South Texas day there. As always, we really appreciate you being out there. Chat, y'all know what to do. Y'all know what to do. You about ready to get back into the air conditioning, Mary?
That's
Oh, I jinxed it. Let's see. Yeah, we are solving this issue with Mary. We're getting her a dedicated internet connection so that she can have comms, not tried to piggyback onto the live stream modems, which are using lots of data. So we are working on this issue to get rock solid comms for Mary, y'all. But as always, we get this video because Mary is out there. She's running the camera. She's running the solo. She's doing everything required to make this video and record the videos that you see here on NASA Spaceflight every single day. So nothing but love for Boca Chica gal, Mary out there bringing us all this amazing coverage. Earlier, also, we had Chris Bergen. Chris is NASA Spaceflight Actual, the founder of NASA Spaceflight. He was that Yorkshire accent that you heard early in the stream today. He had to take off earlier. And did I miss anybody? I don't have the Discord list up. Okay, good. Yeah. We got everybody. So lastly, I am John Galloway. If you watch my Twitch stream ever, you might know me as Das with the Kerbal Space Academy, but I'm behind the scenes here running live stream stuff, and I'm super happy that we were able to bring this content to you wherever you are in the world. I mean, it's clearly a very cool thing that allows us to share these sorts of events and activities with people all over the planet, literally. Did I miss anything, y'all? The store? I mean, if you want some NASA Spaceflight merch, as I manually roll back here the video to the fail, if somebody could put up the link to the NASA Spaceflight store, we've just released that with the roadside rocket science t-shirts and the drone ship. Of course, I still lie here, beach blankets and that sort of stuff. Not trying to like make it, oh yeah, buy stuff from the store constantly, but it's some pretty cool, funny stuff. If you want to help show your love of spaceflight in that NASA Spaceflight store. Somebody grab a link to the store.
I just did. I just threw it in there.
Yeah, there we go. Cool. Thank you. Anything else that I missed? Anything else? We put some Twitter handles in. I mean, there's all that sort of stuff. I think I got everything, didn't I?
Yep.
All right. Well, for now, NASA Spaceflight team is going to be signing off from Boca Chica and all over, bringing you the live coverage of that test to failure one last time in the replay. That is the end of SN7 right there. Don't know how much pressure it went to. I haven't seen a tweet or anything, but SN7 no more, having successfully completed its test to failure campaign there with that inert liquid nitrogen cryo test. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us today, and we will see you next time. Be looking for this raw footage if you're on the memberships. If you're a YouTube member, be looking in the Discord for a preview later today on the YouTube channel here. Be looking for that source video from Mary with a little bit of a edit with some different slow-mo and stuff like that. But that's where we'll be. You know where to find us. Ring the bell, set it to notify you, whatever. But for now, like I said, signing off, and we will see you nerds later. Thank you all so much always for joining us.
Chamber pressure looks good.